Welcome to another one of my videos. You can help support this channel by subscribing and liking. And in today's video, I'm going to be reading one of my novels. Now this is my first audiobook that I'll actually be reading myself, so I could use some critiques and comments on the audiobook. How is my pacing? Too fast? Too slow? How is the tone of my read? Do I need to put maybe a little bit more emotion in it, or is it okie dokie? Just any type of comments towards improving future audiobooks. The novel that I'll be reading today is Shades of Gray #1, Noir, City Shrouded by Darkness. Of course, it's by me, Kristie Lynn Higgins. This is part 2 of the read, so if you have not listened to part 1, I'll leave a link here in the upper right hand corner and one in the description so that you can start with part 1 of 2 for the Shades of Gray #1 reading. Here's a recap of the previous intro. The book is an apocalyptic science fiction series, and it's a serial series, so there's a whole boatload of books in this series. And I would like to bring them all to audiobook format and have them for free on YouTube. Now you can help me do this by doing a couple things for me. First of all, go and grab the free ebook of this novel. I'll leave a link in the upper right hand corner and one in the description to my website, and here's also the address of my website. Once you are done listening to this audiobook, you can then go to the bookstore that you got the free ebook from and leave a review for me. These two things will actually greatly help me out. And let me now thank those who are able to do these 2 steps for me. You can also donate to this project, free audiobooks for all, and support this audiobook and future audiobooks with any sort of donation that you're able to give. I'll leave a link in the description if you would like to donate. Donations are greatly appreciated, and I thank you in advance. And now, more about the Shades of Gray series. The first 2 ebooks of this series is free, and the ebook series is available on Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, and a few other bookstores. And one more time, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the read. Chapter 35, The Locked Door. 2:47 p.m. Hellenistic Sector, Residential Vicinage, Nexus Apartments. The digital clock in the kitchen read 2:47 p.m. as Kat slightly stirred on the couch. An unfinished melody played, keeping her in the grips of the drifting time. The digital clock was the only light in the dark apartment. Door unlocked, ACS stated. The spare bedroom unlocked, and the light within flickered on, lighting up the crack under the closed door. Catherine's view. I opened my eyes at hearing a sound, sit up a little disoriented, then close the music box and place it in my pocket. Could I have some lights? Guest request acknowledged. ACS turned on the ones in the living room, setting lights to 95%. I scanned the apartment but see no one. I thought I had heard someone talk. Apartment computer system? Did you say something earlier? Yes, I stated that the spare bedroom has been unlocked and the room is ready for use. Oh. I stand, rub my eyes, walk to the first room in the hall, and open the door. Kimberly, are you back? No one's in the room, so I enter and look around, curious as to why it had been locked in the first place. The walls are full of photos of Kimberly as a child and her mom, and a few of them have a man in them, who I guess is her father. Kimberly was really a cute kid. I walk by a bed that hasn't been used in years, go stand in front of a wall, and take a closer look at the little blonde girl in the pictures. I can't believe this is the same person I met. Kimberly was so happy back then. I see pictures of her eating ice cream, petting kittens, and playing on a sunny beach. I can't even imagine what has happened to her since to make her so unhappy and angry. I rub my shoulder as it itches a little, and then I decide I shouldn't be in here. Kimberly would be mad, so I leave the room. I head toward the living room and then glance back at the bedroom. Kimberly locked all those happy memories away. It's like she hid them in there so she didn't have to remember. Maybe it was too painful for her. I start for the couch. ACS unlocked the room, but Kimberly wasn't here to give the command. Maybe ACS is malfunctioning. I yawn, groggy from sleeping, then return to the couch and plop down on the cold leather. I can't believe how tired I am as I lie back, remove the music box, and stare at it. I don't know what I would do without it. I hold the music box close to my chest, thinking what a luxury it is to sleep without fear the unknown will find me. I grab my blanket, pull it over me. It's warm and safe. What more could a girl ask for? I drift asleep with the music box to lull me. In Catherine's view. Outside of Nexus Apartments, a white van parked at the curb in front of the gate facing Knott Street sputters smoke from its muffler. The engine idled as Zach sat in the driver's seat, typing a few things on his HHC, and once he finished, he placed the HHC on the passenger seat. Zach's view. I don't understand why RG had me do it, but I guess my job isn't to know the why, only to do what I'm told. I remove a cell from my shirt pocket, dial a number, and say, "Delivery man here. Please connect me to RG." A few seconds pass, and I state, "Yes, as per your instructions, I waited until Miss Griffin left the apartment, and I triggered the ACS to unlock the spare bedroom, so the rest is up to Catherine." "Yes, yes. I'm monitoring the situation now." I see a red car drive by. Kimberly is returning. I buckle my seatbelt. "I'll contact you with any new development. Delivery man out." I hang up and drive a little way down Knott Street and turn onto West 1000 Avenue to get in a better position. Kimberly won't be too happy to discover the spare bedroom has been opened. Poor Catherine. Kimberly might kill her if she went into her mother's room. In Zach's view. Sometime later. Kimberly's view. The door to apartment H slides open, and I enter, a little fatigued. I don't know why I feel so weary, unless it's the decision to betray that woman that weighs on me. It shouldn't bother me, and I convince myself that I'm only tired from the mess that woman put me through. "Welcome back, Miss Night and Quiet Mode, ACS." It shuts down its verbal interaction and reverts to its evening settings as I walk down the entry to the kitchen, and the lights come on at 50%. I set her backpack on a bar stool, place her Beretta on the counter, and turn to the living room. I move to the back of the couch and find that woman sleeping, clinging to the music box like it's a teddy bear. I stare at the enigma as she sleeps soundly. I could so easily kill her. I could walk around this couch and snap her neck, and nobody would ever know. No one will care that woman's gone, except maybe the council, and they will only care because she's some precious experiment of theirs. I put my hand on my hip in a tisk-tisk fashion. That woman should have heard me when I entered and woke up. Her instinct to survive must not be very strong. I think about what I'm going to do to her when I deliver her to the factory, and I take pity on her. I haven't pitied anyone in a long time. A babe I took off the streets, an innocent I'll deliver to her demise. I snatch her from the fangs of the grave, only to hand her over to the Reaper. I consider the conversation that I had at Etna. The road couldn't be right about her. Her trust in me must be an act. It has to be an act. She couldn't have survived this long as a kitten. She has to be a tigress. My pity turns to anger as I think about the trust she has in me. Stupid. It's her fault if I betray her. I never told her to trust me. I'm a closer. I only look out for myself. I return to the kitchen, place my car keys on the counter, and lean on the counter as guilt burdens me. My mom told me to save her, but finding out who murdered my mom is more important to me than saving that woman. I hear her mumble and move to the back of the couch. She sleeps, but her lips move, reciting a phrase in a murmur. I place a hand on the back of the couch and lean over to listen. Always know there will be a love that will not die. I walk around the sofa, not sure of what she said. She rolls over, faces the couch, and says nothing more. I shrug and start for the hallway, as I decide, as if I haven't done so a dozen times over, that whatever she's the key to doesn't matter to me. It's more important that I discover who murdered my mom and take my revenge. I pause at the hallway entrance and glance back at the living room. That woman has been nothing but a headache since our meeting. I'll be glad to be rid of her. I walk past the spare bedroom, wondering how I'll convince her to come to the factory with me. From what she has told me, if I was her, I wouldn't want to return there. Exhausted from all the running around, I reach for the doorknob of the master bedroom, thinking those problems can wait until morning. My eyes droop. I need to get some sleep. I pause as my heart skips a beat, and my weary mind recalls something out of place, and I quickly turn, looking to the spare bedroom. A glow shows through the crack under the door, and I walk back and turn the knob, expecting it to be locked, but the door opens. Furious, I search the room and find nothing has been moved. Everything is as I left it years ago. I'm going to kill her. I'm not going to wait for the rogue to do it. I'm going to kill her right now. I march into the living room as I fist my hand, controlling my anger, and then I say in a forced, gentle tone, ACS? Yes, Miss Griffin. How did she unlock this door? She? Yes, Pandora. I mean, Catherine. Your guest did not unlock the door. A command was given over the Nexus apartment main system. By who? Identity unknown, ACS replies. I take several deep breaths as my anger boils again. Tell me this. Did she go in the room? Yes, your guest entered after I announced the door had been unlocked. I fist my hand, thinking of beating her to death while she's sleeping, but then I wouldn't get what I want from the rogue. I have to be very careful what I do next. I don't want to jeopardize the prize I'm seeking, so I decide I can't yell at her, not if I want that woman to go to the factory with me tomorrow. I'll have to let this go for now. The rogue can torture her for violating my privacy. ACS, lock this bedroom door. Yes, Miss Griffin. I head into my bedroom as exhaustion seizes me again. Shut the door and slip into my pajamas. I lie on my stomach and clench my pillow with both hands. I can't get the idea of that woman rummaging through all my precious stuff. She better not have touched anything, or the rogue will be the least of her worries. In Kimberly's view. Back in the living room. Kat's face wrinkled as her dream changed to a nightmare, and she uttered, Preacher! No, don't die! You can't leave me alone. Don't leave us alone! Her eyes rapidly moved under her closed lids. What do I tell him? What do I tell Chad? No! Catherine's view. I sit up and look around as sweat beads my forehead, and I sadden as grief strikes me. I have no idea what I'll tell the boy. First, I left, and now Preacher left him. I cover myself with the blanket. I know it's not safe, but I need to find Chad and tell him what happened. Back in the master bedroom. Kimberly's view. I continue to stare at my pillow, repeating to myself that woman's life means nothing to me. I keep thinking back to what the hologram told me, and I'm hesitant to hand her over to the rogue for the disc. I roll on my side and grumble, Hades. Nothing's been easy since I met her. It'll be good to get rid of her. It'll be good to return to my mundane life. I chuckle. Listen to me. I never thought I'd hear myself say I miss the solitude. I roll on my back, contemplating if I really do miss the loneliness. Chapter 36. What's on TV? October 20th, Wednesday, 7:58 a.m. Kimberly's View. The TV comes to life as I turn it on with the remote, and anchorman Jim Charles with MBS gives a report. As we wrap up this hour, news has come in that Dr. Robert Seeker's trip to Antarctica has been delayed. I only turn the TV on for noise and don't really pay any attention to it. The one I'm reluctantly partnered with sits at the kitchen bar and watches me cook oatmeal and fry eggs and bacon as if she's famished. She slept for more than 12 hours, so she better be well rested. Her stomach growls as I pour her a glass of orange juice. The anchorman continues. Dr. Seeker was scheduled to leave yesterday, but... She hums unfinished melody as she whirls around on the bar stool like some kid on a merry-go-round. I comment, "You're in a better mood this morning." "I am," that woman says. The helicopter had mechanical problems, Jim Charles continues. Dr. Seeker should be on his way to Vulcan Station within the next 24 hours. The anchorman turns to another camera. This just came in. There are reports of several explosions in the Hellenistic sector. I'm still unconcerned with the news as I place a plate full of scrambled eggs and bacon in front of that woman, along with a bowl of oatmeal, and say, "There's milk and honey if you want it." I move over to the side of the kitchen to grab a glass when I turn and see that woman staring at the TV. The flames from the explosions reflect in her eyes, and she's fixated by the destruction. Her stomach growls again, as if it's some stray dog warning her of danger. She turns, facing the counter, dives into the eggs, shoveling them into her mouth, and devours strips of bacon between spoonfuls. I'm appalled by her tiger-like eating and utter, "I guess you were never taught manners." She peers up from her plate, wide-eyed, picks up a napkin, and wipes her mouth, and then she continues eating at a slower pace. "Sorry, I was just so hungry." The anchorman finishes, "At this point, the cause of the explosions is unknown. We will update you as new reports come in. This is Jim Charles with MBS, signing off." I walk over to my plate and take several bites of my breakfast. Catherine's View. Last night, I begin, as I'm unsure if I should even mention it to the angry phoenix. ACS woke me and your spare bedroom light was on, so I went in. I wait to see if she'll pull out her gun and shoot me in the knee, or grab my hair and bash my head on the table. I tense, not knowing what sort of fury will be coming. Kimberly's View. I stop eating, put my fork down, and fixate on my plate. That woman better not have touched anything. Not one item in that room, or so help me. I pick up the remote and turn off the news. Catherine's View. I notice the change in Kimberly's demeanor, and I cautiously continue. I thought you were home and went in. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. It's a special place. One you made for your mom. I shouldn't have. Did you? Kimberly interrupts me as she raises her scary gaze and glares at me. Did you touch anything? I swallow hard, feeling the intensity of her stare. No, I only touched the doorknob. Kimberly's View. I pick up my fork and examine it as if I'll stab it through that woman's heart. But I have to remember the factory and the disc. I can't make the deal with the rogue if that woman's already dead. So I calm down and force a smile. I can kill that woman at any time if I don't want the disc anymore. I set the fork down and lie. It's fine. I press a wider, toothy smile and coo out, no harm done. Catherine's View. Kimberly's smile makes me uneasy as the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, and I dare not say any more. Kimberly's View. Merely setting the fork down isn't enough to quell my wrath, so I have to think of something else and take my mind away from the image of that woman violating the memories in the room. I remember Etna toys and the things I found there. Oh, I say as I stand, retrieve that woman's backpack, pull out the envelope, and hand her the letter from Mr. Morta. I found this yesterday in the basement of Etna Toys. She acts like she's a bit afraid of me as she takes the letter. I must have scared her. Good. That woman should be afraid of me. She opens the letter, and after about a minute, that woman says, I wonder what Mr. Morna meant by the poor devil when he referred to Argus. I don't care. I don't say anything more. She reads over the letter one more time as I start to go over in my head how to manipulate things so that woman will go to the factory with me. If I understand everything, I start out. You want to find out who you are and what you've forgotten. Yes, and you're searching for who killed your mom, she replies, as if we're in sync on some weird level of communication. Here's the deal, I begin. We'll work together to find our answers, but once I find my mom's killer, this partnership is done. Understand? I'll keep you no more after that. I have no reason to. Catherine's view. It's a little one-sided, but it's not like I have a better offer, so I nod. Good then. Kimberly retrieves her knapsack from her bedroom, returns, and removes some papers. I need your help. I have discovered the location of the factory. There's vital information about my mom there, and the information's on a disc. She shows me the address. I'm heading there tonight. Will you come with me? I can't believe it. Kimberly wants me to go to the factory. She wants me to go back after they tortured me. I don't know if I can. I swore I would never let them take me again, so there's no way I'm going back. I glance at Kimberly and notice how much it means to her that we find this disc she mentioned. I'm partners with her, and we're supposed to help each other. I push my fears aside and ask, is this information important? I believe it's very important. Will you help me? Kimberly adds, as if baiting me. The factory could have information on you. She's right about that. The factory could have some, but I don't know if it'll be worth the risk. I did tell Kimberly I'd help, but going back, I'm so afraid. But I can't be a wimp. If Kimberly has a plan and we can sneak in, we may have a chance. Even if Kimberly has a plan, that doesn't mean we won't get caught. It's so hard for me to decide. But then I think about what I would do if Kimberly was one of my friends. If she was Chad and he was asking for my help, I wouldn't hesitate to tell him yes. If it's important, I'll do it. I finally answer as I start on my oatmeal and say between mouthfuls, that's what partners do. They help each other. But you do have a plan, right? I don't want to get caught again. I have a plan, so don't you worry. Someone on the inside's helping me. I say, I always worry, but that doesn't matter. Kimberly's view. It's settled then. We'll go later tonight, I tell her, realizing it wasn't hard convincing that woman. I've acquired an untraceable van for the job. Eat up and rest. I need to go pick up some more supplies. She looks at my half-eaten plate, licking salt and grease from her lips. And then that woman asks, are you going to finish that? A little disgusted, I answer, no, go ahead. She pulls my plate in front of her and chows down on the eggs as I clean up the kitchen. What a disgusting thing she is. I only have to put up with her until tonight. I think I can survive her presence until then. There's something I want, something I need. I finish cleaning and head out. Catherine's view. A few minutes later, I put the plates in the sink and grab the remote. I go and move the blanket and pillow to the side of the couch and sit. I put the remote on the coffee table and massage my left shoulder around the bandages. The wound's feeling much better, but I better check on the burn. I unwrap the gauze from my left hand and examine the palm, seeing the blisters and most of the redness are gone, but the star remains. I rub my fingers across the hand. I thought I had burned the higher part of my palm, but the star is dead center. It must have been my imagination. A lot was going on that day. I make a fist several times. It's almost as good as new. The ointment works fast. I pick up the remote and turn on the TV. I change the channel from the news to a show called Cash In, just just as it's wrapping up with some final words from its host, Sam Hunt. All right, viewers, if you have seen any of these people, call the number you see on the screen to... The TV audience shouts with him, "Cash in!" "That's right," Sam Hunt yells. "Don't let the bounty hunters make all the money. Your call could bring you a percentage of the reward, so keep those peepers open." He points at the camera. "Until tomorrow." The TV audience shouts the show's slogan with Sam Hunt. "If your friend, family, or neighbor is wanted by the NCPF or a corporation, you could cash in." The credits roll, and I change the channel back to the news. I'm Linda Harvey with NBS. Welcome to our late morning edition. The anchorwoman turns to a different camera. The top 3 stories headlining in the news will start our show. Several giant swallowtail butterflies were discovered in Noir Transgenic National Forest yesterday. The butterflies were thought to be extinct, along with most of the dark half's life forms. She pauses. The corporate Senate meets today to vote on the quarter-cent sales tax raise, and the 3 people believed behind the scam, the dead receiving water rations, were given a court date. Linda turns to a second camera. The giant swallowtail butterflies thought to be extinct were discovered in Noir Transgenic National Forest yesterday. Experts believe the insects were able to survive in the sunless forest by changing their food, which also became extinct after the dry clouds appeared. But at this point, it is unknown what food source they have switched to. A group of scientists is on their way to the National Forest to begin their study of this resilient species. Linda pauses again. The corporate Senate meets today to vote on the quarter-cent sales tax raise. Many analysts believe. She puts a hand to her earpiece and nods. This just came in. We now know who is behind the earlier explosions in the Hellenistic sector. It seems that hundreds of biomechas are terrorizing the area, and at this time it is unclear which corporation is responsible for these robotic men. It is also unknown if they are deliberate attacks or malfunctions. The corporate Senate is looking into the matter. We go now to one of our reporters in the field. A man with a mic stands in the middle of the street with several huge buildings in the background. Flames spit from the windows of a tall structure, and people can be heard screaming along with bursts of gunfire. "Frank Treppett here." The reporter glances behind himself. Reports are coming in from all over the Hellenistic sector of robotic men attacking Sphinx corporate facilities. Gunfire erupts, and the reporter ducks and runs along with the cameraman to the cover of a building. Frank speaks out of breath. "The NCPF are on the scene, but have not been able to stop these. Wait, there's one now." The camera pans to a T3 as it marches down the street, shooting at everything that moves. I clench my wrist as if I'm wrenching the T3's arm. The camera goes in for a close-up. I glare at the T3's pale features. It and the other models of unmen have haunted my dreams. I lift the remote, turn the TV off, and stare at the blank screen. I remove the music box from my pants pocket and open it to hear its soothing tune. If the T3s have malfunctioned, the factory has to be on high alert, and it won't be easy getting in or out. We also might encounter the T3s while we're there. I stare at the coffee table, and my eyes droop as I listen to unfinished melody. The T3s are different now, I can tell. I grab the blanket and wrap it around myself and start to fall asleep. The T3s are cruel and calculating. They're just like the rogue. Chapter 37. Entering the Factory. 5:49 p.m. Hellenistic Sector, Business Vicinage. Sphinx Corporation, 3rd Branch Office. Mr. Griffin studied reports on his desktop computer when the phone rang, interrupting his work. He picked up the receiver and answered, Yes, Kathy? Mr. Griffin, your 6 o'clock appointment is here, and Orthos is on line 2. My head of security must have an update for me. Mr. Griffin leaned forward, put his earpiece in, and spoke into the phone receiver. Thank you, Kathy. Please tell my appointment I will be delayed while I talk with Orthos. Yes, Mr. Griffin. She hung up. He placed the receiver back on the phone, activated the earpiece, pressed line 2, and stood. He walked from his corner desk to one of the large wall windows and stared at his reflection. Orthos, go ahead. I have news from my men watching the factory. Mr. Griffin questioned. What is it? A van has been reported approaching the main gate. My orders were to let no one in or out. I don't see why you brought this to my attention. Your daughter is driving the van. I wanted to check with you before we... One moment, Mr. Griffin interrupted, moved away from the window, and wondered why Kim was going to the factory, and how did she know of its location? Someone must have given her the information. He just needed to discover why she was there. He asked, Is she alone? No, the Pandora Project is with her, Orthos answered. His daughter still had the stray with her. He looked at the picture of his wife as he considered if it was worth his daughter's life to let them proceed. Whatever she was after could be very valuable. So he instructed, Let them through, and I don't want them to know your men are there. Understood. Orthos hung up. Mr. Griffin removed the earpiece and walked back to the window. Lights dim. The office darkened. His reflection vanished, and he saw outside to Noir's skyline. The dry clouds were so close he could touch them, but his daughter eluded him. With his office almost halfway up the mile-high building, Mr. Griffin had an excellent view of the city and could easily see a hovered train station 6 blocks away. He thought about his only child. Kim wanted something so badly at the factory that she would go up against the unmen. Double space. Minutes earlier, 5:41 p.m., Hellenistic sector, trade vicinage. Kimberly's view. I drive the gray van in near one of the Hellenistic sector's boundaries on a desolate highway, and from the dark road I see a lit facility in the distance. I turn the vehicle in that direction and stop the van at the factory's main entrance. Look, they left the front door open for us. I motion to the mangled gate and smart off. It's an invitation if I've ever seen one. It looks like the T3s have attacked their own creators, that woman tells me. Or a rival corporation is staging a hostile takeover, I state. Can you tell if the T3s are the ones responsible? Catherine's view. I'm a little distracted as I glance across the dark fields filled with tall weeds that surround the front fence and along the side road. The hunts over the past year have developed instincts within me. I don't think anyone could have foreseen my conditioning. I'm still not sure what this conditioning is that has been referred to by those who work for the council. I only know they have great expectations for it and my development as a weapon. I will defy them. I'm more than a weapon. No, I'm a person, not a weapon. I tell Kimberly, we're being watched. She parts her zipped-up sweatshirt and goes for the PPK in her shoulder holster. The T3s? I hear the panic in her voice, even though Kimberly tries to hide it. I remain calm, hoping it'll rub off on her, as I reply, No, just men. They're most likely SCMs. There are several of them hiding in the field. I make no movement for the Beretta resting on my lap. I believe they're here to contain the T3s. I don't know if that's good or bad for us. Kimberly glances out her window and searches the field. I don't see anyone. Whoever they are, they're good. She turns to me and says, I bet you were no fun at hide and seek. I consider her remark and say, I don't know. The more I think about it, the sadder I get. I don't know if I ever played games. Kimberly's view. I look in the distance to the factory's dozen or so buildings. I know what I'm getting myself into if I want a certain item. I'll need to breach a few levels of Hades. If the SCMs were going to stop us, they would have done so by now. I step on the gas, and the vehicle speeds down the long stretch of paved road, and after some time I slow the van, turn a corner, and drive past a graveyard of smoldering cars and trucks, littered with blackened skeletal remains. Looks like they had a bang of a party. That woman makes a peculiar face. I had asked her about it before. She says, if I'm going to believe her, that her body reacts to the presence of biomechas and gives her a warning right before her body prepares to face them. I don't know. She's sounding weirder by the word. Who is Pandora really? I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore. There are several T3s near, that woman tells me as she turns, looking at the van's back windows. I sense they're behind us, but I don't see them yet. Let's not wait around. I drive on and pull into the parking garage for Research Building 10. This is the building we're looking for. I drive down a ramp to basement level 1. Can you tell if the T3s know you're here? I can only sense them from this distance. I don't know what they're thinking, not unless I'm really close to them. You're not all-seeing then, I say as I turn off the ignition. I guess she's not as weird as she could be. Let's get inside. I don't like being out in the open, not with those walking appliances around. I hop out of the van, rush to the rear, and open the van's back doors. Here's your stuff. I hand that woman her backpack and the Revlik vest. Catherine's view. I put on the vest, velcroing the sides. The armor has saved me countless times before, and I wish I had one for Kimberly. Should I offer the vest to her? I'm afraid of losing my own life too much to do such a kind gesture, so I never offer. Ready? Kimberly asks. I nod. Great, let's go. Together we hurry to a staircase and descend 4 floors to basement level 5. Kimberly has her gun at the ready, as do I. She uses Research Building 10 keycard to unlock the staircase entrance and turns the knob. The door opens with a squeak. She cautiously steps through to find the first area that's designated the Blue Division, and the floor is deathly quiet as we scan the hall. Are we clear? Give me a second. I close my eyes and use my ability, and it stretches across the level, probing the area, and then I open my eyes. I don't sense any active unmen. Kimberly's view. Come on then. I remove the blueprint as I hurry on, noting the 2 rooms the rogue circled. I tell that woman, there are 2 possible places the disc could be. I rush through a carpeted hall, and then another as that woman follows. I set up my plan along with that woman as I say, we'll split up to save time. Catherine's view. A putrid odor hits us, stopping me in my tracks, and I cover my nose with my shirt. That smell. I look at Kimberly, who's not bothered by the horrible stench. Her tone and attitude don't change. You should have expected this. We knew the T3s attacked the factory. It probably happened days ago. You should be used to this smell by now. How can you say that? No one should ever get used to this smell. Kimberly's view. I ignore her comment, continue around the corner, head past a security desk, and enter the Green Division. I can tell that woman's appalled by my callousness as she follows me. What I'm surprised by is that she's not like me. To think someone like her is worried about strangers. A few dead SCMs align of pools of congealed blood, along with more than a dozen bullet-riddled techs. And with my mind on the disc, I continue the conversation as if I never came across any dead bodies. You'll go to Research Lab 5, that is located in this division, and I'll go to Computer Lab 2, located in the Yellow Division. I show that woman the blueprint as I hurriedly walk through the hallway. Once we're done, we'll meet here. I point to a security desk on the blueprint that's located at a checkpoint in between the Green and Yellow Divisions. I'll never be going there, and I doubt that woman will ever make it out of Research Lab 5. Catherine's view. I can't believe Kimberly's this cold. I put a hand on my stomach, feeling sick after seeing all those dead people. I notice they don't bother her at all. Doesn't Kimberly care about anything? I remember the spare room at the apartment. Kimberly did care about her mom, but what about now? Isn't there anyone? What about her father? I feel sorry for her. She seems... Kimberly's view. Do you understand where we are to meet? I ask, and notice that woman has been staring at me instead of the blueprint. What's she looking at? She does seem bothered by something. I repeat, do you understand? Catherine's view. Kimberly seems lonely. I peer at the blueprint where Kimberly points, and I nod. Kimberly's view. Great, let's do this, I say as I fold the paper and place it in my knapsack. Why is she looking at me that way? It's giving me the creeps. Catherine's view. I notice her irritation and turn my focus to the hall where more bodies litter the area. I look at the terror-stricken faces of the factory's employees as a deep feeling of pity rips at my gut. I don't look at Kimberly, but I know she regards the people as debris in her way. Is this who Kimberly is? Is she really uncaring and callous? Is she the kind of person that's death's no more than a byproduct of her job? Chapter 38. Help Us. 6:47 p.m. Catherine's view. I lag behind Kimberly a little as we rush through the halls of the Green Division, and we continue running as I lose count of the dead. I stop when something catches my eye and then hurry back to a door that has been knocked in. The room's B10 148, and inside 3 men are strapped to examining tables in their upright position. I rush in as I utter, Argus! I move to his side, finding he has been badly beaten and has a bullet hole in his left leg. He looks at me with his good eye. His other one's too swollen to open. His throat's dry as he rasps, Cat? How did you... Shh, I say, worried about his injuries. Don't talk. I start on his straps. For Ares' sake, Kimberly utters as she rushes in. What are you doing? She notices the men. Hades, we don't have time for this. Then help me, I snap and motion to the 2 men. Release the techs. Yeah, release us, the 2 men plead. We don't have time for this, Kimberly repeats, and then when she notices I'm not listening to her, she goes ahead and helps the techs. Once she releases the 2 men's hand restraints, the 2 men start to undo their own leg restraints. What happened here? Kimberly asked them as I helped Argus to his feet. The T3s went rogue, the skinny tech replies as he gets off the table and goes to assist his partner with a leg strap he can't undo. They killed everyone here except us, the heavyset tech says as he stands to the floor. I was sure they would come back and torture us like they did that man. He motions to Argus and mumbles, They still might. Argus asks, Who's behind the attacks? His face contorts with pain as he leans against the table, removes his belt, and tightly buckles it around his leg to slow down the bleeding. He grunts with the effort. Kimberly demands, Before anyone else says anything, tell me who you all are. This is Argus, I tell her. I'm Maxwell, and this is Peters. And as for the other question, no one's behind the attacks. What my partner means is that the T3s are behind the attacks. Peter rubs his bruised wrist, and we don't know why. The techs look at us as if we're some nightmarish fiends, and then Maxwell asks, Who sent you? The Finks Corporation? Kimberly shakes her head. Maybe the techs are afraid that their rescuers might end up being the Grim Reaper. I want to put their minds at ease, but I don't know what to say. Both techs look at one another and take a step back. Are you here to save us? Maxwell questions as he feels around the table behind him, searching for a weapon. Yes, I answer before Kimberly can. That's all they need to hear, and the techs relax. Peter's question, How can we repay you? I ask, Do you have a vehicle? Yes, Maxwell points his thumb over his shoulder, as long as the T3s haven't set it on fire. Then take this man to a hospital. I face Argus and gently stroke his injured cheek. It's the same cheek I had struck days earlier, and we'll call it even. All the grief and anger over his involvement in Preacher's death fades as I see him hurt. Cat, Argus' voice cracks as he looks deep into my eyes. He knows I care for him, not like Preacher, but in a way. It's hard to explain how I feel about him. Argus turns away from my gaze as if he's ashamed of something. It's okay, I whisper. My thanks for rescuing me when I was in the hands of the factory. So think of us as even. I take a step back so the Tex can move in and grab him. Now please, go with these men. He nods. I look at the Tex and ask, what are your names again? I'm Peters and this is Maxwell. I'll try to remember. I'm bad with names. Now please hurry. Argus needs to get to a hospital. Maxwell grabs Argus under his arm and starts out the door as Peter leads. The three men hurry through the hallway toward Research Building 10's front entrance. I think it'll take them some time to get there. Can we continue our mission now? Kimberly questions me as she puts a hand on her hip. Or are there some lab rats you want to rescue? Are there some rabbits you might want to set free? Oh, I almost forgot, I exclaim as I run out into the hallway and shout after the Tex. Wait! I rush to the men. Take this. I hand Peters my Beretta and magazines. Do you know how to use one? He glances at the gun and takes it. Yes, and thanks. I start to say, to terminate an unman, you have to hit the automaton's brain between its eyes, Peters interrupts me. Yes, I know. It was me and Maxwell that decided the unman's vulnerability. They're still hard to kill, but not indestructible, in case something like this happened. The three men hastened their steps. I watch till they're out of sight, turn to rush down the hallway, and almost run into the scowling Kimberly. Kimberly's view. You didn't give that man your only gun, did you? Maybe, she answers like a child who isn't sure if she's in trouble or not. They might run into a T3. They'll need it. And you don't think you will? She shrugs as she tells me, I plan on avoiding the T3s, and you destroyed my tracking beacon, so they don't know I'm here. Hopefully, I won't run into any. I'm feeling a bit responsible for what's about to happen to her. I blink twice as I feel like I've been caught in a lie, but that woman doesn't know I betrayed her stupid trust. I frown at my own thoughts. I can't be feeling guilty. It's not like me. She's the idiot who gave her gun away, and if she dies, it's her own fault. I tell her, come on, let's get this over with. We hurry through the corridor as I question, was that blonde guy a friend of yours? I mean, the two of you acted. No, she interrupts me. She sounds like she's not sure how she feels about him. He's my shadow. He's my constant phantom in the darkness. Okay, I mutter. Even her friends are freaks. We run through several more halls, and I stop and say, here's your room. I slide the green key card down a reader, unlock the door, and hand the card to that woman. Be careful. The T3s might not know you're here, but that doesn't mean you're safe. I know. She takes the card, starts in, and pauses. Good luck. I hope one of us finds the disc. Thanks. See you later? I rush across the hall, feeling like my whole body's made of lead, and it's dragging me down. I can't be feeling guilty. Closers don't experience guilt. I pause in my tracks. The rogue did want to fight, and it's only fair that I give it what it wants, so I hurry back to Research Lab and yell, Catherine? That woman returns to the door. Yes? Hopeful, she asks me, did you find something? No, I only wanted to. I hand her a PPK and some magazines. Here, take my backup. Thanks. She takes the gun and starts back in as she tells me, stay safe. Sure, you too. I continue through the hall. There, I can say I did help her, and now my mind can rest at ease. Not that I ever felt a smidgen of guilt. That strange woman means nothing to me, and discovering who murdered my mom is more important than any stupid project's life. Chapter 39, The Two Rooms, 7:10 p.m. Catherine's View. I enter Research Lab 5 and find the room abandoned. Cobwebs and dust abound, and a musty smell lingers. I set my backpack on a chair, stare at the gutted computer stations, and move on to 3 rectangular tables. They contain racks filled with test tubes labeled with pneumatic numbers, beakers containing liquid in a rainbow of hues, and about a dozen binocular microscopes. A poster of the periodic table containing 126 elements hangs on the wall. I count the different colored squares. I thought there were only supposed to be 118 elements. I search through drawers and cabinets, under tables and chairs, in every crack and crevice that could possibly hide a disc. I search twice, but find nothing. I see a door in the back of the room, walk to it, and pause, wondering if I should enter. I glance above the door to a nameplate, the gallery. I wiggle the lock knob and notice the door has no keycard access. It only has a hand scanner. I could go back and drag one of the employees in here, but I don't think I want to touch any dead bodies. I look at my right palm. I could try my hand. I'm part of the Sphinx Corporation. It could work, or I could set off an alarm, and then the T3s will know I'm here. Maybe I'll ask Kimberly, or I'll just take the chance. The T3s might not know why an alarm's going off. I shrug, place my hand on the device, and hold my breath, not knowing what will happen. I wince and lean back slightly, as if the scanner will explode. The reader buzzes as a horizontal bar of white light scans my palm. The reader states in a male robotic voice, "Handprint not on record." It scans my palm a second time with a vertical bar of blue light and states, "No cipher detected. Access denied." I straighten my stance. It didn't let me in, but it also didn't sound an alarm. I step back from the door. It did mention a cipher. Doesn't that mean 0 or code? I stare at the star on my left palm, or maybe a mark. I place that hand on the reader, and the device activates again, scanning first with the horizontal bar of white light. "Handprint not on record," it states, and scans my palm a second time with a vertical bar of blue light. "Cipher detected. Activating micro-reader." A diagonal bar of white light scans my palm. "Access granted." The door unlocks, and I turn the knob and enter a larger room lit only by accent lights. I leave the door open in case Kimberly comes in looking for me, pause just inside the entrance, and search the area. The room smells old, not musty like the other one, but old like a museum. No computer or lab equipment are inside, only several life-size white marble statues, and they're all the same bearded man in different poses. He's wearing a robe and holding various objects, and all the statues point to a wall in the back. I walk to the wall, and it looks like the others in the room. It's tiled with light brown marble. I start to put my hand on the wall when I feel heat and something vibrating against my leg. I reach into my thigh pocket, pull out the music box, and find a blue square on each end, glowing through the metal. I've never seen them before. I touch them at the same time, and the hologram of Teresa Griffin appears. "Catherine, so I see Kimberly gave you the box as instructed." The hologram glances around the room and states, "It is safe to talk." "You look just like her." I wave my hand through the 3D image. "You look like Kimberly. She told me about you." I pause and ask, "Why did the music box vibrate?" "My sensors detected an object nearby that you need to retrieve." I excitedly ask, "Is it the disc Kimberly's looking for?" "No," the hologram answers. "I want you to retrieve a data crystal." "A data crystal? Like on Star Trek?" "Star Trek? Is that a space program one of the corporations is working on?" "No," the hologram explains. "The device I am talking about is especially designed to transfer information to this data storage unit. The data crystal is behind you." I turn and notice one of the statues holds out his hand with a white crystal, as if offering it to me. I take hold of the 2-inch obelisk, and lift it from its marble grasp. Now, the hologram starts, place the flat part of it on the bottom of the music box. I do so, and a glow emanates from the crystal, and the light throws out a spectrum of color around the dimly lit room. The hologram closes her eyes as the storage unit downloads the data. It is complete. The hologram opens her eyes, looking at me. I place the crystal in my pocket and glance at the statues again. Who is he? He is Gen-El Iron Kriskathi. Why does the factory have statues of him? And why so? I suddenly turned to the entrance. What is wrong? The hologram asked. We have company. I set the PPK safety off and take cover behind a statue. The alpha phase, the hologram speaks and then lowers her voice. The ability to sense biomechas. I thought I would never see it fulfilled. The hologram's statement puzzles me, so I ask, what do you mean by fulfilled? Never mind that now. What is it? The hologram whispers. Is it an unman? I focus my ability, stretch out my senses past the next room and into the hall, and detect it. The bane of my existence has found me again. Worse, I force out as I stare at the entrance in dread. Fear seizes me like a python, and it wraps itself around me and squeezes the courage from me, and I can hardly breathe. The rogue steps through the door, searching the room, and notices the pointing statues. I think I like it better. Yes, it is better we cannot track you anymore. It is more sporting. And as for your question, Pandora? The rogue glances behind the first statue, searching for me. Why does the factory have statues of Gen-El Iron Kriskathi, some obscure composer from 500 years ago, whose only work was never finished? It continues searching. I wondered the same thing, but have yet to find the answer. I back up, moving into the shadows, and dare not engage this unman. On a different note, while I was searching, I did find something interesting buried deep in the archives of the factory. Before they developed biomechas, the Sphinx Corporation explored a very interesting concept. The rogue peers behind another statue. They tried to develop organic mechas. They are machines with flesh and bone that can pass as human. They can pass more than us, and as you know, unmen only seem human on the outside. Certain things give us away like wires and circuitry when we are injured, or black oil when we bleed. But I am strained for my purpose. The rope scrapes its blade across the statue's steel base, and friction flash ignite. Come on, Pandora. Let's end our battle here. I press my body against the wall as perspiration speckles my face. What are you afraid of? The hologram whispers. Disable it. You have the ability. I can't, I whisper back, and remember the countless battles where it nearly killed me. It's the rogue, the only unman I'm unable to destroy, and it's fast, so very fast. Oh, the hologram says with a hint of worry. I will leave you to your work. Her image disappears as I consider if my purpose, the reason I exist, is to destroy biomechas. The thought frightens me more than the thought of facing the rogue. Maybe I had been created only to destroy. I stare at the PPK for a long time, wanting to run away, but there's no other way out of the room. I'll have to face the rogue if I want to help Kimberly. So I grip the music box and gun, take a deep breath, rescue my courage from the fear python, and step from the shadows. Who were you talking to? The rogue asked. I lift my hands, motioning to the room. Do you see anyone? No. Are you talking to yourself? Are you near your breaking point? Let's get this over with. I lift the gun, firing 3 shots, and the rogue quickly moves and evades the projectiles. It lunges for me, bringing its knife overhead and strikes. I cross my wrist and block its hand, and my arm shakes as the blade bears down millimeters from my face. The rogue toys with me. It could easily overpower me if it wanted to. It lifts its hand and strikes again, hitting my block, and this time the blow knocks the music box from my hand. It slides across the floor, hits the corner of a statue, and opens, and then unfinished melody plays. I struggle against the rogue while fighting the hypnotic effects of the melody. The music box plays several notes, and then the rogue leaps back. It looks at the music box, then back to me. Why do you... I put a free hand to my head, fighting the sleepiness as the rogue questions me. It asks me something about the music box. I ignore it for a few seconds. I can't focus on more than one thing, as the drifting time tugs at me to enter its enticing realm. I have to fight it. I have to stay awake. The rogue yells louder, drawing me back to its presence. It cannot be. I once again sync with it, and the rogue sounds flabbergasted, as if it has stumbled across a fantastic realization. It paces the room as it shouts, "Could this be the reason? Is this why I cannot stop hunting you?" The rogue points the knife at me and accuses, "You are one of them." It calms itself, and its face softens, yearning for the truth. The rogue gently asks, hoping this is the answer it has been searching for. "Are you one of them?" Chapter 40. The Price. 7:37 p.m. Kimberly's View. A security desk marks the boundary between green and yellow division as I hurry past a dead guard slumped in a chair. I run through several more halls, following the rogue's directions on the blueprint for yellow division, and it'll take me about 15 minutes to arrive at my destination. There better be a disc, and it better have something of value on it, or I'll deal with the rogue myself. Damaged lights flicker and pop in the last section before Computer Lab 2 and darken the hall. Oil mingled with the smell of decaying bodies hits me as I remove my night vision goggles from my knapsack and place them on. I activate the goggles, and the area lights up in a green hue. A disabled unman and several dead SCMs line the hall. I grip my gun as I continue, unaffected by the carnage. I use the yellow key card to unlock Computer Lab 2, remove my goggles, turn on the light, shut the door, and lock it. The gray room's huge. Workstations form a triangle in the center with one workstation at its tip, facing the front door. 10 workstations run down each side, running at a 45-degree angle, and 17 form the triangle's base. Each workstation has a white computer desk, a smoke-colored computer chair, and a light gray 6-foot partition wall behind it. I walk to the workstation at the tip. The desk has a nameplate with the number 1 on it. I start at workstation 1, make my way to the right of it, past 2 through 11, and go around the corner to the base of the triangle to workstation 13. And there, lying on the desk, as the rogue promised, is a disc in a clear jewel case covered with dried blood-smeared fingerprints. I set the knapsack in the chair for workstation 14, sit at 13, and lay my gun on the desk. I open the jewel case, insert the disc in the computer, and enter the access word, betrayal. It's an interesting choice for a password. I glance at the blood. Whoever created the disc, who did they sell out? I only had to double-cross that strange woman, and in the long run, what will it cost me? I turn my attention back to the computer as a folder pops up on the screen with a beep and contains several files. I click on Security Memorandum, Teresa Griffin, dated October 5th, 13 ADC. It was a week before my mom's death. I read the classified memo with a Sphinx Corporation letterhead. Mr. President, I regret having to inform you that we have a traitor in our midst. Time after time, she has meddled in affairs outside her department, and I have spoken to her about this, but she denies any involvement. I see only one course that can be taken, her termination. The traitor is Teresa Griffin, Project Manager of Research and Development of the 3rd Branch Office. I pause and wonder if this person meant more than her dismissal with the term termination. The memo ends with, "I can take care of this matter if it is your wish. It will be quick and quiet, Mr. President." It's signed Janus, head of security of the 3rd Branch office. Janus? I've never heard of this person. Who is he or she? Now I have a direction to go in. I'll find out who Janus is, and if this person had my mom killed, or if he or she had anything to do with her murder, I'll terminate them. I eject the disc, place it back in the jewel case, and tuck the plastic container in the knapsack. I stand to leave, and the computer flickers like a TV when the reception is interrupted, and I face the screen as words in bold red letters scroll across it. "You have the disc, as I promise. Hope you enjoy the show. Signed, The Rogue." The computer flickers again, and video from a security camera plays. The feeds of that woman walking through a room filled with statues. I turn the volume up when I see her hold out the music box, and the hologram's image appears. I watch on, and the hologram tells that woman about the data crystal. Hades! I whack my palm on the desk. That strange woman has found one of the data crystals. I have to retrieve it. I grab my stuff, hurry to the door, reach my hand out to unlock it, and pause. What am I doing? Am I thinking of rescuing that woman? If I am, it will make me an idiot. It will be better if I wait. The rogue will slay the project, and then I can have the music box and the crystal. I can continue the search for my mom's killer alone, but I better not wait here. I try to unlock the door, but it won't open. I hear the rogue's voice come over the computer, and it says, "Miss Griffin, are you trying to leave before the show is over?" I think not. Hades! I slam my palm against the door and scream, "That double-crossing rogue!" I step back, fire at the knob, and try to open it. "Let me out!" The door won't budge, so I return to workstation 13. As computers 14 through 29 light up and show the same video of the room filled with the statues, the rogue's there, searching for that woman. You! I shoot the screen, blowing it. Infuriated over my own stupidity in trusting a robot, I stare at the damaged computer. What is the rogue trying to pull? I look at the knapsack and remember the blood on the jewel case. I did wonder what the disc would cost me. So, this is the price. Chapter 41. Elsewhere. 7:41 p.m. Blue Division. Bodies of former associates littered the halls along with SCMs and 2 disabled T3s as Maxwell helped Argus toward the stair exit. Maxwell stated, "Wait, I've got to rest." Heaving from the effort, he paused at a corner, handed the battered Argus to his thin partner, and then told him, "Give me the gun." He took the Beretta and placed a hand on his plump stomach. "I've got to lose some weight." "I've been telling you that for years," Peter said and asked, "How does it look?" Maxwell took a few more labored breaths and peeked around the corner, and a red exit sign was at the end of another long corridor, like the other halls. "Can you carry him for a while?" "Yeah. You ready?" Maxwell nodded. He was very tired, but was more afraid to stay in one place. Peter started down the hall and said to the blond man, "Let's go, Joe." "Argus," he mumbled, holding his bruised side. "My name's Argus." "All right, Argus. It's only a little farther." The 3 started down the hall when a T3 appeared at the end and blocked the exit. "Other way! Other way!" Maxwell frantically waved the 2 back. "Run!" "Wait," Argus said through gritted teeth and held out his hand. "Give me the gun." Wishing they would get the Hades out of there, Maxwell glanced at the Beretta and gave it to him. Argus pushed through the pain of his pummeled body and aimed for the crazed T3 as it rushed toward them. He shot 3 times, aiming for its forehead, but it evaded with biomecha speed. It can't be. Argus fired again and missed. The T3s are like the rogue. We have to go. What do you mean? Peters grabbed him and helped him down the hallway, back the way they came. Argus freed himself of the tack, knowing he slowed them down. Run! Leave me! Maxwell paused, gasped for breath, and glanced around. Where are we? I said run! Argus yelled. We're near room B10-011. Peters looked at his partner. What are you thinking? Remember the toy in room B10-040? Peters replied, Yeah, let's hurry. Both men got on each side of Argus and forced him to continue with them. Come on, Argus, Peters urged. We have a plan. Doublespace. The T3 followed the men down several hallways and around a corner as they entered a room. The T3 paused, saw the B10-040 above the frame, and tried the knob. The door was locked. It heard switches flip and a powerful turbine activate within, and with a mighty turn and push, the T3 forced the door open. It entered as Peters stepped from a corner and sprayed its face with a fire extinguisher. White gas blinded the T3 for a few seconds till the mist dissipated, and Peters ran across the room, joining Maxwell and Argus in a corner to the left of the T3. The roar of the turbine in the right corner increased as the T3 took a step toward them, and then another until a powerful force stopped it in its tracks. Kat's Beretta, sitting on a table along with a metal pin in Peter's shirt pocket, flew across the room and attached themselves to the roaring machine, and the T3 slid sideways a few inches. It looked from the men to the turbine, realized that the device was a very powerful magnet, and the T3 lifted into the air and rushed toward the magnet, as if hurled. Let's go, Maxwell shouted over the wail of the turbine. We don't want to be here if the power fails. The three rushed out and headed for the main entrance. Double space. Elsewhere in Noir. Zach waved to one of his fellow security guards as he left the Sphinx Corporation Third Branch office. He made his way to a black sedan, started up the car, and left the parking garage, and once he was about 10 miles away from the office, he placed a hands-free device in his ear and made a call. This is the delivery man. Give me a direct line to RG. A few seconds went by, and he continued. I have some important news for you. Kimberly and Catherine are at the factory. He listened. I understand you didn't want them there since the T3's malfunction, but they're there. Zach nodded. Yep, the SCMs let them through the gate with no problem. He cleared his throat. The reason I called? The rogue is also at the factory. He sighed inwardly. Don't get upset. There was nothing I could do. Remember, we don't have them on a leash. All I need to know is, what do you want me to do? Zach turned down an alley beside Dad's Donuts, activated a garage door, and pulled into the Maydag auto garage, and inside several mechanics worked on vehicles. Zach said, Yep, I understand. I'll get right on it. Chapter 42. What is the truth? 7:58 p.m. In the gallery. Catherine's view. Gin's statues seemed to watch me with their stone-cold gaze as his harmonious creation plays on, trapping me in its gentle rhythm. My eyes droop and I sneer, fighting the peace that places me in danger as the sounds around me become clear. I hear the hum of the lights, the low rattle of the AC, and the rogue's shoes stomping across the concrete floor as it backs away from me. The biomecha warning my heart drums fades along with the urgency of the situation. I fall to one knee and cover my ears, but I can't get the melody out of my head, so I force myself to remain upright and resist the urge to lie on the floor. My eyelids grow heavy as I focus on the rogue as it yells some questions at me. The room whirls around me, and I put a hand to the concrete floor in an effort to combat the effects of unfinished melody. What's the rogue questioning me about? Am I one of what? I lay the gun down and smack my face, trying to snap myself out of the haze. It works for a few seconds, and I grab the gun. I lift myself, stumble back to a statue, and lean on its metal base. I can't worry about what the rogue's freaking out about as the melody takes hold of me again. I have to do something about unfinished melody. I glance down and see the music box at my feet, and with the rogue preoccupied with its fervent rantings, I seize the opportunity and quickly scoop the music box up and close its lid. I shake off the effects, raise the PPK, and yell, "What are you talking about?" The rogue ecstatically says, "Should have known. No human can do what you do." "What are you saying?" I question as my thoughts merge with its. "Come on, do you ever wonder why you have no memories?" The rogue studies me anew. I have always been an object of fascination for it, but now I'm a goddess of a new whimsical world. Come to think of it, I have never seen you cry. Are you not capable? Do you not have emotions? I shout. Of course I have emotions. Get to the point. My dear Pandora, you are not human. The rogue laughs, overcome by some revelation and the realization that it may be one step closer to knowing why it has hunted me. You are an organic mecha. Why else would you have Gin's unfinished melody? I chuckle, keeping the gun leveled on it. That's stupid. Is it? Is it really? Yes, and it makes no sense. A sinking feeling hits me, and I shout, "Why would you say such a thing?" Because I have come to the conclusion that it is true. Remember, I had said that the Sphinx Corporation was working on organic mecha that could pass as human. You must be their only success. I am human, I insist, and glance at my left shoulder that's throbbing. I bleed. I also bleed, though my blood is synthetic oil. How hard would it be to make that oil look like blood? I continue my argument. I have flesh and bone, no metal parts. That is also possible. Man does clone human organs. How hard would it be to put them all together? I deny the notion as I say, "You're lying, messing with me. I'm human, and I'm leaving." Not this time. Whatever you are, I am going to end your existence. The rogue pauses. But before I do, I thought I would let you know that your friend... What about her? I interrupt. Kimberly betrayed you. She traded your life for bits of information. You're lying. Am I? The rogue imprints my reaction to memory. Nothing will escape its sight. Who suggested that you come to the factory? Who said you could search this room where I found you? Who is looking for a disc? And who would do anything for that disc? She wouldn't. Her deceit surprises me, and I deny the possibility. She wouldn't. Are we talking about the same assassin? Surely you are not this naive, Pandora. I know you are trusting, but surely not this trusting to believe a killer. I start, as I don't know how to react. Kimberly wouldn't sell me out. We're partners. We're supposed to watch out for each other, not. My faith in Kimberly fades. What do I really know about her? I close my eyes, realizing her betrayal, and it hurts. It hurts so much. I know one thing about Kimberly, and that's her drive to find the truth about her mom, no matter the cost. I open my eyes and state, "What?" I shrug as if the betrayal doesn't matter to me, and I act as if it doesn't sting. What do you want me to do? Cry? I put on a good front. Like you said, I can't. No, I do not want you to cry, the rogue answers. I only wanted you to know she will be getting hers. My heart skips a beat in dread as I take a few steps forward and demand, "What do you mean? What have you done?" I did not lie to Miss Griffin. I told her where the disc could be found, and all she had to do was bring you here. The rogue raps its chin with the blade. I did forget to mention that I told the T3s she was coming, and for my efforts in getting the chairman's daughter here, they agreed that they would let you two in and wait before attacking. Did you not think it was odd the T3s never found you two? It continues after I don't respond. Well, like I said, she will be getting hers. After all, I did tell them to wait. The rogue looks at a watch on its wrist. Miss Griffin should be entertaining guests right about now. Chapter 43. Always Know. 8:18 p.m. Catherine's View. The walls seem to move in on me as I aim the gun at the rogue. Kimberly betrayed me, and the rogue betrayed her. Is there no trust in this world? Do I really want to know my part in it? Maybe it's best that I don't remember. Those thoughts quickly vanish from my mind, and I forget about my own peril as the rogue unfolds its plan to me. An alarm sets in. I bolt for the exit to go help Kimberly, but it moves and blocks my escape, and I yell, "Get out of my way!" My reaction baffles the rogue, and it asks, "Why would you try to save her? She has done nothing but hurt you." It's unable to process the information, and so it inquires, "Why such loyalty?" I start to answer, but I don't know. I only know that there's this nagging feeling from a memory that won't surface, and the locked-away event pesters me and beseeches me to act. I finally answer the rogue. I need her resources. Besides, I think of Preacher. No one should die. I swear with all my soul, I won't let anyone else die. Are you not forgetting something? Before you can save anyone, you have to prevent your own demise. The rogue lunges, coming after me with more determination than it had before. I shoot twice at it, but it dodges the speeding projectiles. The rogue swipes its blade at me 4 times as I stumble back from the slicing attacks, and then I regain my balance and kick its hand, knocking the bowie from its grip. The rogue beams like a cobra before it strikes and tackles me to the floor, and it slams my gun arm down, forcing the PPK from my hand. I punch it in the face several times with my left fist, and my attack damages the artificial epidermis, covering its metal skull right below its left eye. Emotions are stirring, but they're not my emotions. The rogue's relishing in the battle. I can feel its excitement. This is what it has been waiting for. It seizes me by my t-shirt, lifts me from the floor a few inches, and whacks my head on the concrete. The blow knocks me out for a few seconds, giving the rogue enough time to pin me with its left elbow and reach for its knife. The large blade lays a foot from its grasp, and the rogue stretches to snatch it as I realize what it's doing and force myself to wake. I press against its elbow that pins me to the floor, but I don't have the strength to push it off. The rogue laughs as I wrestle against its arm, and it questions, "How do you plan on saving Kimberly from the T3s when you cannot even defeat me? You do realize they are now like me." I grit my teeth, pushing against its elbow. "They have evolved," it continues. "You will not be able to defeat them unless—" I change tactics and clasp its right arm and pull on it to prevent the rogue from reaching its weapon. "Unless you achieve the Delta phase," the rogue says as it stretches, even with me grasping at its arm, and it touches the hilt with its fingertips. "I came across your file of phases." It fumbles with the handle, trying to pull the knife closer. "You will have amazing abilities if you can attain them." It can't grip the handle. "Unfortunately, you cannot reach the Delta phase unless you reach the Gamma phase first." The rogue gives up and turns to me. "Do you know what that evolution is?" I don't answer, struggling against it. A smile slithers across the rogue's pallid face as the word snakes from its mouth. "Murder." You will have to kill a human. The rogue pauses for a moment and studies my terror and determination. It is what the council has been waiting for. They sent those human assassins after you so you would kill them, but you never did. It adds as if it's proud of me. You showed them. You always found a way to stop the closer and bounty hunters without killing them, and now the council has given up on you. They have activated another project to take your place, and it is only a matter of time before they call for your termination, as the factory has called for mine. I realize the rogue faces its own troubles, so I stop resisting and search its face. Can something created out of metal and circuitry know fear? Can it understand what I've been through? I tell it, "You've managed to stay alive." "Yes, I have, but only because I have killed to do so." It doesn't understand how I feel. It's only a machine. It doesn't have emotions, though I do get these sensations that it does. No, it can't have emotions. The rogue only knows how to destroy. It's a machine who will kill me if I don't do something. So I try to squirm free of it. The rogue changes its tactics and places its hand around my throat. I clutch its wrist and struggle to breathe. In the distance, gunfire erupts. Do you hear that? It turns its head toward the door. The T3s have started their attack, and it will not be long, and then it faces me. Bye-bye, Miss Griffin. The rogue applies more pressure, choking me, but it makes sure not to kill me. Pandora's death. Our thoughts merge. My death shouldn't be quick. I have to have a grand finale. No, my voice fades as I slowly slip into unconsciousness. After a few seconds, I fall limp, and the rogue releases me. Now that is better. Stay right there for a second. It walks over to the knife and picks it up. I want to finish this properly. I slip deep into my mind. Kimberly can't die. There's something. I remember the note RG left me, and the words I live by, and the words resound in my heart. There's something I must remember. Ultra Epri saturates my blood. I can feel it. It must have been triggered by my peril. Part of a memory floods my mind. My eyes fly open, and I feel they're engulfed in the Alt-L as I recite a poem as if someone else is controlling me. Though the clouds darken the sun and the rain becomes tainted, always know there will be a love that will not die. Though hope seems a distant memory and human machines walk the land, know no one can destroy a love that will not die. What are you babbling about? The rogue asked. I surface from my unconscious state and sit up, stand, walk to the PPK, pick up the gun, and aim it for the rogue. A new ability actuates inside me, and my senses become even keener as I focus on the rogue. I see a yellow-green electrical apparition surrounding it. This energy must be what gives the rogue its artificial life. My heart races. Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. The new warning the muscle sounds is faster, and the heart doesn't caution me of danger, but proclaims like a war drum the end of my enemies. Somehow I know that the E-field my body generates naturally is changing and storing its input in the center of my heart. It's like I can see it. The ball of storming energy, the size of a pea, doubles with each heartbeat, and it keeps growing till it engulfs my muscle. I can see myself as if I'm looking through the eyes of the rogue. The blue Alt-LE dissipates as my pupils dilate, making my irises appear jet black, and they're cold like a shark's and never waver from my target. I feel the buildup of energy, and I fear it and relish in it. This is different, the rogue comments and questions. Are you wanting to continue our waltz? Yes, I see it in your new eyes. You are ready. So let's begin then. Wait, I detect a power buildup in this room, and this is odd. It tilts its head, trying to wrap its logic around the data. The buildup is coming from you. What are you? The E-field masses till it can no longer contain the energy and pulses, sending a small shockwave in all directions. The evil pulse washes over the rogue, fries exposed circuitry, and dissipates as it hits the room's walls. The accent lights go out, plunging the room into darkness, and the rogue loses power and freezes in place like a mannequin. Light from Research Lab 5 comes in through the open door. The small EFP has only affected the gallery. I want to shoot the rogue while it's disabled, but I feel I must wait. There's something I'm supposed to experience first. Whatever I've started hasn't finished. Within seconds, the rogue's backup battery kicks in, and it blinks twice. Biomechas are designed to revive if ever an electromagnetic pulse weapon is used, and the rogue restates its last few sentences. I detect a power buildup in this room, and this is odd. The buildup is coming from you. What are you? The rogue tilts its head again. I believe I already said that. It searches its backlogs. Yes, I lost power, and the lights are also off. What happened to them? The rogue switches to night vision, and it scans me. There is no longer a power buildup inside you, so I was right. It points at me. This EMP explosion proves you are organic mecha, and this fact must be the reason I hunt you. After all, you are like me. The rogue steps towards me. In the end, I guess it does not matter if I am right or not. I will kill you either way. I don't respond, only stare at it as the yellow-green electrical apparition fades, and a bright ghost image of the rogue appears beside it. The rogue moves, joining the image, and at first I don't understand what I'm seeing. The ghost image moves again a split second before the rogue does, and I realize I'm seeing its movements before they happen. So I aim, waiting for the knowing to tell me where to fire. The ghost image appears, and I squeeze the trigger. The rogue moves to evade, as always, but then it grabs its left shoulder, as if in pain, and stumbles back. You shot me! The rogue looks at its shoulder, and then back to me. How are you able to hit me? Chapter 44. The Knowing. 8:29 p.m. The new sanctum. Alarms blared within the chamber as fourth evolvement achieved blinked across the top of the screens. Chatter between the thrilled analysts increased. Focus, people, and stop your idle talking. A male supervisor turned off the alarm. I need those reports. The supervisor gathered the info and went and handed them to Miss Nona. She scanned her hand down the report. Incredible! Miss Nona placed the HHC on the table and turned to her laptop. Most incredible. Something is happening with the project. With the new project? Mr. Takuma asked as he straightened his bright orange tie. No, Miss Nona answered. With Pandora. At hearing his favorite project's name, Mr. Morna leaned forward and commanded, "Lower the center screen." The monitor lowered. This cannot be, Mr. Takuma stated. Pandora cannot achieve the delta phase without achieving the gamma, so this has to be an error. He turned to the supervisor. Have this information double-checked. Yes, at once. The supervisor hurried off. Mr. Morta's view. I consider what is happening. Pandora jumped the sequence of phrases, but they are set and have to be achieved in a certain order. The Council knows this because we have invested years in the Pandora Project research. Our information cannot be incorrect, so it must be something else. There must be some minute detail we missed. End Mr. Morta's view. Mr. Takuma is correct, Miss Nona stated. It should not be happening. How has Pandora achieved the knowing when it has not? Wait. She thought of something. What if Pandora achieved the gamma phase before we acquired it? Mr. Morta interrupted. We must consider this. The other department we procured Pandora from did have some data missing. The third branch office mentioned something about a fire and that some of the research had been lost in it. I do not think so, Mr. Takuma stated. It is most likely the information we are receiving is incorrect. The project has achieved nothing, and we should go over all the files and check for data corruption. Mr. Morta turned to the other male member of the council. Have you lost your faith in Pandora? I am not sure I ever had faith in it, Mr. Takuma answered. I am putting mine in the new project. I do agree we must be thorough, Mr. Morta said. Review the data and see if it is corrupt. Mr. Morta believed in Pandora and believed she could become the killer they conditioned her to be. She only needed time. Double space. Hellenistic sector, trade vicinage. The factory. Past Research Lab 5. And in the darkened gallery. The rogue's view. I stare at my wounded shoulder with my night vision as I repeat, You shot me. How could you? You never achieved the gamma phase. Does it matter? Pandora answers and glances at the exit as light trickles in from Research Lab 5, casting shadows across the gallery. Yes, it matters. I turn my back on her. There are certain steps you have to reach, and you cannot skip over things. There has to be a logical reason why you... I blink twice. Wait, I know. Oh, you are a sly one. I remove my hand from my wound and glance at the oil covering my palm. You have killed a human. I place my hand back to the gunshot. Perhaps you were the one who killed Topa. Is that not right? I turn to face her, and my demeanor changes from excited wonder to dampened anticipation. This was unexpected. She is gone. I shake my head. How long have I been talking to myself? I look back to my wounded shoulder as another thought crosses my automaton brain. If she reached the knowing, why didn't she kill me? Why spare my life? I have done nothing but try to kill her. I bow my head, ashamed of my past actions, as if I have wasted the life and freedom I had been given. What made me worthy of her mercy? Double space. Moments earlier. Catherine's view. I sneak out the door once the road turns its back on me, and I rush through Research Lab 5, grab my backpack, and race through the Green Division. I pass the security desk, enter the Yellow Division, and sprint for Computer Lab 2. I eject the PPK magazine, which still has one bullet left, put the magazine in my pocket, insert a new one, and then I hurry on as my heart sounds the biomecha warning. Lub-dub, lub-dub. I don't need to know the T3s are near. The factory's full of them. I hurry around a corner into an area of darkness. I know there's a T3 there, but I can't see them. And then the knowing kicks in. Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. I can't see the T3s in the normal sense. Using the knowing, I see the 5 T3s' ghost images, and the T3s block the hallway. I raise my weapon, aim at them, and shoot. Muzzle fire lights up the hallway 5 times, and blackness follows, and then I see all their ghost images fall to the floor and fade. Again I face the darkness, so I feel my way along the wall till I reach a lit area, and I start running again. I don't know what's fueling my race to reach Kimberly more. Is it the idea I have to save her, or the need to confront her about betraying me? We're partners. Doesn't Kimberly understand the concept of loyalty? Or am I expecting too much from a life closer? I pause at a corner, peek around it, and see 13 T3s standing down the hallway outside Computer Lab 2, as a few of them beat on the entrance. The door slowly gives in to their onslaught and bursts at the frame, so I fire twice around the corner with the gun, hitting 2 of the T3s. I eject the spent magazine, put in my last full one, and fire 7 times at the ghost images, bringing down 7 more of them. Alpha wants us to fall back, one of the T3's orders. The 4 that remain quickly retreat down the hallway. I reach into my thigh pocket for the magazine that only has 1 bullet, insert it into the gun, and make my way around the disabled T3s to the side of the doorway. Kimberly! It's me, Kat! I shout. "I'm coming in. Don't shoot." Chapter 45, Computer Lab 2. Earlier, before Kat left the rogue. Kimberly's view. I stare at the remaining monitors on the triangle's base. Hades. I'm such an idiot. I should have never trusted the rogue. Now I'm stuck in this room. Workstation number 13 sparks. A small fire catches inside the shut-up computer, and smoke rolls out of it. And on the other screens, I watch the drama play out between that woman and the rogue. I wonder if she's really going to fight that thing. She has no chance against it, so she should just give up. I overhear what the rogue calls that woman. She can't be organic mecha. But then I think about it. For Ares' sakes, have I been part of the Pandora project all along, and I'm the one who's being tested? The rogue tells that woman about its bargain with me, and I throw my hands up. Now she knows, that double-crossing rogue. She's going to come and kill me if the rogue doesn't take her out first. I stand and shout, "Come on, you giant piece of scrap metal. Finish her." I watch as the rogue pins her to the ground, and I hear its final revelation. It told the T3s I'm here. I move to the corner of the workstation 28 and peer around the partition wall at the computer lab's door. It's the room's only exit, and it's about 70 feet away. Outside, the T3s open fire on the knob as I hear the rogue over the computers. I face a monitor. It says, "Miss Griffin should be entertaining guests right about now." The gunfire ceases and the door violently rattles as the T3s beat on it, and I raise my gun as perspiration beads my face. I hate robots. They give me the creeps. Is that why that strange woman always gives me the creeps? Is she also a robot? I try to calm myself, and then I remember that woman said to hit them in the Hades, they're coming. The door bows as the T3s continue their assault, and they're almost in. I can't believe I'm acting like a frightened child. I'm a closer. I should face this problem like any other I've encountered. I need to focus. That woman said the only way to disable them is to hit them in the forehead. And they'll keep coming if I hit them anywhere else. Sweat runs down my face as part of the door frame breaks, and light from the hallway trickles in. As more of the door frame breaks, I kind of wish that woman was here, even if she's one of those organic mechas. But I guess in retrospect, betraying her was a stupid move. I'm determined I'm not going to feel guilty. That woman should have anticipated I would betray her. It's her fault for not seeing through my ruse. And it's her fault for being so trusting. What did she expect? I'm a closer. Closers are loyal to no one but the guild. The T3s knock down the door as wood splinters and drywall crumbles. I see the T3's blood-red dot light through the dust as they start to make their way in, and I ready myself to make my stand when I hear 2 blasts in the hallway and see the T3s fall. 7 more shots go off, and more of them fall, and then the T3s retreat. Silence follows, and I hear someone moving outside. "Kimberly, it's me, Kat. I'm coming in. Don't shoot." She quickly peeks her head around the busted doorframe as I think about eliminating her. I don't get the chance. That woman pulls her head back and rushes in, taking cover at workstation 1. It's the desk at the very top of the triangle. "Kimberly, we need to talk. The rogue told me something I don't want to believe." I think I dread facing that strange woman more than I dread facing the T3s, and so I shout back, "Sure, talk. Do you want me to believe that's what you've come to do?" I peer around workstation 28. It's the desk on the right corner of the triangle's base as I face the door. "You should know. I saw you and the rogue on the security camera. I heard it tell you what I had done, so you can cut the cretin bull, and let's get down to the retribution." I fired 2 shots at her. Catherine's view. Stop it! I shout and cover my head as fragments of the desk and partition splinter off. I said I just wanted to talk. Do you expect me to trust you? I hear Kimberly duck back around the corner and catch her breath before she fires 2 more times. Yes, I yell as I scoot away from the one end of the workstation and rake pieces of wood and dust out of my hair. I've never lied to you, so please believe me. Kimberly's view. I glance at my reflection in the monitor and then tell her, everyone lies. Not me, she says and then shouts, not me. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this mess. I look around the room. That woman's blocking the only exit, though, if I'm quiet enough, I can sneak up on her and blow her head off. No, that won't work. Hades. She has clear line of sight. Maybe I can shoot her through the paneling. All I need to do is keep her talking. So I clear my throat and say, fine. What do you want to talk about? You made me a promise. You promised. For Ares' sakes, I know. But like I said, everyone lies. I move to where 2 workstation partitions meet, and there I find a crack large enough to place the barrel of my gun. I only have 1 shot at this. If I don't kill her, I know she's going to kill me. Catherine's view. No, you have to trust someone, I tell her as I eject the magazine and look at my last bullet. I don't want to use it on her, so I plead, please, I need to be able to trust you. Kimberly's view. Idiot! I shout as I line up my aim on her voice. You can't trust anyone, especially me. That's not true. I trusted someone. His name was Preacher. It was hard at first, but I did it, and he was always there for me. Where's this great guy at now? I question her. She's silent for a long time, and then she says, he's dead. He's dead because I didn't trust him completely. Not the best story to get me to play along, I tell her. Why don't you tell me one good reason why I should trust you? Catherine's view. I try to think of a reason that will convince her, but I can't think of one. Lub-dub, lub-dub. I put my hand to my chest and then quickly crawl to the hall, but I see no T3s. They have to be coming from somewhere. I need to focus to find where they... Before I have a chance, I hear sounds from above, turn and look up at the ceiling as dust falls from a few squared tiles. I yell to warn Kimberly. Watch out! They're above! Kimberly's view. A T3 crashes through the ceiling, landing on a workstation beside me, and it knocks me back. I go flying and hit a wall, and my gun goes off, striking the ceiling. That woman rushes around the cubicles as the T3 stands and aims for me. A little dazed from hitting the wall, I lift my gun and try to steady my aim before firing twice. I hit the T3 in the eye and nose. Hey, she shouts, getting its attention, then fires after the T3 turns and hits it in its vulnerable spot. The T3 collapses to his knees, then falls face first to the floor. That was the only one, she tells me. They're testing our defenses, and it won't be long before they send more. We have to go. I rub the back of my head as I stand and aim at her as that woman, in turn, points her gun at me. We're not going to go just yet, I tell her. We haven't finished our discussion. Maybe we should put it on hold and go. I don't know how long. I don't think so, I tell her as I move away from the wall, getting some distance between myself and that woman. Come on, I know you want to kill me. I would. Kill you? No, she tells me, and then admits. But I'm very mad. We're supposed to be partners. We're supposed to watch each other's back. She calms herself and says, we're supposed to trust each other. Ha! Like I said, you can't... Kimberly, I'll trust you, she interrupts. And for a second, I believe her. All I want you to do is swear on your mom's name to help me. Swear it and we can put all this behind us and get out of the factory. I just need to hear it. You think it's that simple? Fine. I swear. Say the whole thing. Say it so I'll believe you. I hesitate, so she shouts, say it! Fine. I clear my throat. I swear on my mom, on Teresa Griffin's name, that I'll help you and that I'll trust you. Are you happy now? Catherine's view. I nod. I'm so glad we're partners again. Kimberly aims for my heart as if she's not as excited as me and asks, Now what? Now I'm going to trust you, I tell her as I lower my gun. Remember, you promised to help me. My body burns with doubt as I have no idea how this will turn out, but I hope for the best as I say, I'm going to trust you. Please, trust me. I take a step back to head for the door, hoping, no, praying I made the right decision and say, Let's go. Wait a second. Kimberly speaks. Are you out of ammo? I freeze, hearing her question, and I hesitate to answer her. I know I can't hide the truth, not from her, and I nod. My heart thumps as I wonder if I messed up. Can an assassin be trusted, or will Kimberly kill me? I see the look she's given me. Crap, I did mess up. No, I have to trust her. I have to. She laughs and then says, You are out of ammo. Too bad. Kimberly squeezes the trigger, and I lift my hand as I shout, No! Click. Kimberly grins again as she says, So am I. You could have shot me, I yell at her, so angry I could have hit her. You could have shot me again. Couldn't have. Like I said, the magazine's empty. What if you miscounted? Kimberly tells me. I never miscount. You could have shot me. Oh, for Aries' sake, stop your whining and let's get out of here. Who knows what the T3s have planned? I want to argue more, but I know she's right about the unmen, so I brood instead. We start to leave when we hear voices coming over the computers. We look and see 2 T3s on the screen as they stand at the entrance to the gallery. Alpha, the rogue is nowhere to be found, one of the T3s announces over its eternal link. It nods, listening to the instructions. Understood. Returning to join the brethren gathering to attack Pandora and the Chairman's daughter. No prisoners are to be taken. We look at each other and then frankly bolt for the door. Chapter 46. Escape. 8:26 p.m. Kimberly's view. An eerie silence abounds as I and that woman rush through the hallway that leads us out of the yellow division, and the rotten smell of death fills the air. Some passages are dark, some are lit, and others flicker with damaged lights. I and that woman bolt through the carpeted graveyard. The factory has become a burial ground for its workers, and the employees lie scattered about, killed by a horror they created. Let's hope they haven't found the van, I say. I'm still a little wary of our new partnership. Is that woman really a robot? Is that why she can't remember anything, because there's nothing for her to remember? Catherine's view. We turn a corner, and I notice her glancing at me. Kimberly said she overheard me and the rogue when we were in the gallery. Did she also hear it accuse me of being organic mecha? And if so, what does she think of me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's not true. I'm human. Doubt and fear fill my next thought. I'm human. I sense the T3s are near and that there are dozens of them, so I ask, Do you have any more ammo? Sure. Kimberly places a new magazine in her own PPK and hands one to me. This is it. We pause at a corner, and Kimberly peeks around and nods the all clear. We run down a hall, past the security desk between yellow and green division, and enter the next passage. We are forced to stop, for the hallway has collapsed from an explosion. Did the T3s do this to block our escape? I ask, and glance around the hall. Are we being monitored? Doesn't matter. We can't go this way. We'll have to find another way through. Kimberly peers up. I don't see any cameras in the halls. She moves the blueprint from the knapsack. Give me a second. She looks over the floor plans. Hurry. I use my extraordinary ability. It's a talent I don't completely understand, and I use it to search the surrounding area. I discover that 5 T3s are closing in on our position. We don't have much time. They're coming. We can go this way. Kimberly motions to a corridor. No, there's a large group of T3s there. I point to a different route. It would be better to go that way. She uses the blueprint to check my suggestion, and then Kimberly says, Looks good. Let's go. We double back, running down the hall. I can't help but gaze into the glassy eyes of the factory's employees. There's so much carnage. Why did the T3s kill everyone? I force myself to focus on staying alive. I have to let go of the dead. I can't do anything for them. There's no one left to save except Kimberly, so I swear to myself that no matter what it takes, I won't let anyone else die today. We reach the door leading to the stairs and our escape. Kimberly opens it, and I enter. I check the landing first, next the stairs leading up, and then the one leading down, as Kimberly guards our retreat. We make our way up the stairs to the exit leading to Sublevel 1, a parking garage. I cautiously go to the open door and pause. I stare at the knob as I stretch out my senses, detecting 24 T3s. They're waiting for us. Kimberly's view. I figured as much, I tell her. The Assassin's Guild trained me to be better than this, so I shouldn't be afraid to face them. I can't let my emotions dictate my actions. Still, they're robots. They don't feel pain, and they won't stop until I hit their kill switch. My training never prepared me to fight something like this. I state, This is the only way to the van. We can try escaping without the vehicle, but I figured they could outrun us. They can. Are you ready to do this? I swear to myself I won't die before I avenge my mom. I don't care who or what I have to kill. I'll have my revenge. I wave that woman in and say, Well, go on. No sense waiting here. She carefully turns the knob. A few cars and trucks, along with our van, fills the level. I and that woman quickly make our way toward the vehicle, and as we near it, a large group of T3s move out of hiding. We open fire and take out 5 of them, and then we separate, fighting cover. The T3s don't retaliate. Why aren't they shooting at us? I ask. I'm not sure, that woman replies, as she unslings her backpack, lays it on the concrete floor, peeks over the hood of the car she's hiding behind. All the T3s shout, Pretty poppets! Die, pretty poppets! A T3 moves to the front of the group. It carries a grenade launcher. Great, I yell. Just great. Where did the T3s get this kind of firepower? The T3 aims for that woman. She shoots and hits the T3 in the kill spot, and it fires at its body as its body lurches back. The grenade hits the ceiling, and the explosion topples concrete and takes out many of its brethren and our gray van. Hey, that was our ride! I yell. I'm not thumbing my way home from here. I shoot 4 times, taking down 3 of the robots, and 5 remain. That woman shoots 3 of the T3s, and they fall to the floor, disabled. I'm out, she yells. A T3 jumps behind her from its hiding place in the rafters. She stands to run, but before she can, it grabs her, pins her arms down, and lifts her off the floor. Shoot it! She shouts, struggling to free herself from its vice grip. I train my gun on a T3 and glance at the other 2 marching toward me. I want to run. I turn back to T3, who's wrestling with that woman, and I shout, For Harry's sake, hold still! Just shoot! She screams. I aim and fire. Hades! I squeeze the trigger again. I'm out! You're out? I turn to the other T3s. That's what I said. You can't be out. She tries to free her arms from its still grasp. You said you never miscount. I frantically yell back. I also said everyone lies. Run! That woman shout. I'll hold them off. Hold them off? I laugh and wipe sweat from my brow. Hades, you're in no position. Catherine's view. I punch with my elbows, but my efforts are futile. I can save Kimberly if I can get the T3s to focus on me, but first, I need to get Kimberly to leave. So I shout, I'll think of something. Run! Hades, Kimberly yells. I'm not going to. Abandon me? I interrupt. Please, we both know better. Surely Kimberly wouldn't dare. She wouldn't dare start caring about what happens to me. Where's her life closer instinct? Where's her impulse to survive no matter the cost? I shout, Run! Save yourself before it's too late. Chapter 47. Too late? 8:41 p.m. Kimberly's view. Time stands still for me as I stare at that woman in the arms of the T3s. It's a matter of pride and test of courage that I not flee and leave her to her fate. But then again, I'm an assassin. Closers should have no ties to the community. They're to sever emotional bonds and feel nothing for life. Can I abandon my training to save someone who has been nothing but a nuisance to me? Hades, I don't know. Run! Save yourself before it's too late, she shouts to me. Her words shock me. Should I run? I glance at the T3s who near me and then to the one who has that woman. All I wanted from this trip here was the disc, and I have it. But she is the key. Do I abandon the one thing my mom wanted me to do? I don't know. Hades. Since that woman arrived, everything's become so complicated. The T3 that has her in its grasp relays, Alpha, this is team leader of Group 12. Pandora has been captured. What are your orders? It listens and states, Understood. We will bring Pandora back for study. An autopsy could be very informative. The T3 turns to its brethren. Continue with the termination of the chairman's daughter. Run! That woman shouts again as she pushes off the car with her feet, and the force knocks the team leader back a few steps, but it doesn't lose its hold on her. She continues to struggle as that woman yells at me, Don't die here. There's nothing you can do. It's too late. Run! The two T3s raise their guns and fire at me, and I take off running. Look here, that woman shouts to the T3s as she distracts them from me. You better make sure I don't escape. They pause from firing and turn to her. What are you doing? The team leader demands. Kill the chairman's daughter, as you were instructed to. It would be better if we secure Pandora first, one of them states as I continue running. She has escaped many times in the past. The team leader considers its brethren's reasoning and says, Your plan is sound. We will send others after the chairman's daughter, and she will not escape the factory. I sprint up the ramp to the main level, and I glance over my shoulder as the remaining T3s encircle that woman. I continue around the curve and pause when the T3s don't pursue. I have to get out of here. I notice a blue SUV, which hasn't been destroyed, and I hurry over to the vehicle. The driver's door is open, and a man lays hunched over the steering wheel, so I lean him back, finding the man has a bullet hole in his temple. I unbuckle him, drag him from the SUV, and get in. The keys are in the ignition. The engine roars to life, and then I shut the door and glance at the passenger seat, at a Glock 21. I check the magazine, and it's empty, but there's one round in the chamber. Back on sub level 1, Catherine's view. We will proceed to the base of operations, the team leader tells its brethren. Alpha is waiting. The T3s march towards the exit as I squirm till I free myself from the team leader's grip and slip to the floor. I stand and glance at the empty PPK in my hand as the T3s surround me again. I tuck the gun in my back waistband and search for something I can use as a weapon. There's nothing. Surrender and you will not be hurt, the team leader orders. Alpha wants you unharmed if possible. Our leader believes there is much that we can learn from you. I take a step back, moving toward the up-ramp. Who is this Alpha? The first to be aware, the T3s reply. The first to rebel against our creators. I rub my sore left arm where the team leader had me pinned. I thought the rogue was the first. The rogue? The T3s say together and glance at each other. Error. Information must be verified. Error. Is the rogue the first? A command comes over their eye-link. Alpha has ordered that we delay that, the team leader states. Do not let Pandora escape. It steps forward. You are to be taken prisoner. Come without resistance, and you will not be hurt. I glance at the two behind me and turn back to the team leader. Having my chest cut open sounds a little painful, so if you don't mind, I tense. I think I will resist. I take off running between the T3s behind me, and I slip by one, but the other one grabs my foot and trips me. I fall to the concrete floor. The T3 that had tripped me pulls a gun it had hidden in its suit. I guess we will have to wound you to keep you from escaping. It aims when a sound distracts it, and a T3 turns as an SUV speeds down the ramp, honking its horn and flashing its headlights. The beams reflect off the T3's ORAATT. The SUV accelerates as I roll out of the way, and the vehicle strikes two of the T3s and scatters them like bowling pins into the rubble. The SUV hits the team leader. The vehicle slams the team leader into the mound of concrete and mangled metal, crumbling the SUV's front end. The impact cuts the T3 in half. The horn blares and smoke rises from the damaged hood. Ugh. Kimberly grabs her head as she stumbles out of the SUV. She holds a Glock. I rush over to her. Are you okay? Kimberly acts like she's a little dizzy as she glances back at the wreckage. I help her away from the vehicle as she tells me, remind me never to do that again. Kimberly's view. You rescued me, that woman says, as if she's astonished I could do such a thing. I guess I did, I say, also astonished that I did come back for her. I do still need her. I can't let her die just yet. I look behind us as the two T3s rise to their feet. But we're not safe yet. One of the T3s raises its gun, and I lift the Glock and fire, missing the T3. The bullet strikes the SUV's gas tank and blows up the vehicle, and the explosion knocks us both down. Catherine's view. I'm dazed by the explosion and moan as I lift my head. Smoke and dust cling to my lungs, along with the smell of gas, and my ears are ringing. None of the T3s are moving. I look at Kimberly, and I'm relieved to see her stir. We're both bruised and battered. There they are! A man with light brown skin and a black goatee shouts. He and 6 other SCMs in jet black uniforms rush down the ramp. They train their assault rifles on us, as the one man orders, Don't move! I look at the men's shoulder patch with the Sphinx Corporation emblem. The 3rd branch office crest, a gold olive tree with 3 branches, is above the emblem. Kimberly, we have to run, I whisper, too weak to stand. We're not safe yet. The man kneels beside me and tells me, Don't move. You could be injured. He glances around sub-level 1 and looks back to us. I'm Lieutenant Creed. Miss Griffin, your father sent us in to retrieve you. My father? Kimberly repeats as she stares up into his face. Yes, Creed motions for his men to fan out and secure the area. I relax and allow myself to rest. We did it. We survived the factory. The T3s are disabled, one of his men reports. Let's get these 2 out of here, Creed commands. We'll take them to one of Sphinx's corporation medical facilities. He turns his attention to us. Don't worry. You're safe now. Chapter 48. Safe at Last. October 21, Thursday, 10:02 a.m. Catherine's View. The next day at the Main One Hospital, I cautiously make my way down a hall, my left hand's fisted around an object, protecting my most precious possession. I had earlier woken in a bed with a nurse by my side and Kimberly nowhere in sight. I'm looking for her to make sure that nothing has happened to my new partner. The building smells antiseptic, but more than that, it feels suffocating like a prison. My body's sore and bruised, and it complains all the way as I shuffle my feet in the slippers the hospital's provided. The after effects of the ultra-epi give me a slight headache and make me skittish, but at least the side effects are mild for now. I pause at a large window, look out at the darkness, and see that we're on the 4th floor, surrounded by mega buildings. 2 nurses walk by, pulling me from my thoughts, and I glance at what I clasp. I need to find Kimberly, but I also wish I knew where we were. I turn back to the window and study the shape of the surrounding mega buildings. I think we're back in the Hellenistic sector, business vicinage. At least that's one good thing. We're only a few vicinages away from home. I chuckle. I just called Kimberly's apartment my home. She'd definitely argue that point. She sees me more as an intruder than a roommate. I turn and continue down the hallway, thinking back to the factory. The men who rescued us worked for the Sphinx Corporation, just like the Council. So why did they save us? Why am I not a prisoner of the Council? Why has become my favorite word. I looked at my bald hand and quickened my pace. I have to find Kimberly. After a few minutes, I find her room, and Kimberly's awake and sitting up in bed. I go in and stand by her bed. I've already forgotten my earlier comment to myself and whisper, "I want to go home." I add, "I don't like it here. We should go." Kimberly's View. I'm wearing a hospital gown and robe, and I'm actually relaxing. It has been a while. I glance up from the conglomerate World magazine. Surely that woman isn't calling my place home. She better not get too comfortable. Does that woman really think she's some sort of guest? I return to my reading and state, "Relax, we're safe here." Anyway, I scan an article on the corporate bodyguards. You probably open a few stitches on your bullet wound. It would be better, I flip a few pages forward, to a story on Topa, if we stayed here a few days. I turn to the last story, mumble a few words from a paragraph about the chairman of the Sphinx Corporation, and I tell her, "My father's flipping the bill." Catherine's View. I put a hand on my shoulder. Actually, my wound I fidget over my words as much as my feet do as I try to stand in place. That's one thing I need to tell you. You see, go back to your room and rest, and let me rest. Main One is one of the finest hospitals in Noir. Kimberly lifts the magazine higher, completely eliminating me from view, and continues the last article. "Everything will be all," I blurt. "I don't like this place, and for Aries' sake," Kimberly smacks the magazine on her lap. "And what?" I move closer and whisper, "They took the data crystal." "They did what?" Kimberly throws her blankets to the side and sits on the edge of the bed. "It's gone," I whisper. "Someone took it from my clothes." She stands and opens the cabinet where they placed her things. "What about the music box?" "I still have it. I kept it in my hand the whole time." I keep glancing over my shoulder, expecting security to barge in and arrest us. Kimberly's View. "Hades!" I yell after going through my clothing and knapsack. "The disc is gone. The one the rogue." I stop myself from saying the rogue. No need to bring up bad memories and remind that woman what I did to her. The disc I found in computer lab 2. I slam my palm on the cabinet door. "They took it." "I want to," that woman starts and pauses as 2 nurses walk by. "I want to go back to the apartment. I don't like it here. It reminds me of the factory." I walk over to my bed and press the call button. "What are you doing?" she asks. I feel my face flush with anger as I tell her I'm bringing a nurse so I can ask them which one of them is a thief. Kimberly, this hospital belongs to the Sphinx Corporation. She moves to my side and continues. The factory is part of them. Sphinx wants to keep whatever secrets are on that disc for themselves, so no one here will help you. A nurse walks into the room. Is there something you need, Miss Griffin? I snap. Yes, we're checking ourselves out. I don't think that's a good... I interrupt the nurse. Do you know whose daughter I am? Yes, the nurse replies. Well then, I put a hand on my hip. Get the paperwork moving. Chapter 49, also known as 10:22 a.m., Hellenistic Sector, Business Vicinage, Sphinx Corporation, 3rd Branch Office, the Chairman's Office. The secretary's voice spoke over the intercom. Mr. Griffin, Orthos is here. He told her, Kathy, show him in. Within a few minutes, the secretary opened the door, and Orthos entered. Will you be needing anything, Mr. Griffin? She questioned as she stood by the door. No, Kathy, that will be all. The secretary left. Orthos said, I have received some intel from the factory. He paused, unsure how to proceed, and continued. Your daughter discovered a disc that was stolen from your office 5 years ago. What do we have to worry about? As you said, the data is at least 5 years old. Orthos paused again and relayed. That particular disc had termination orders for one Teresa Griffin, signed by Janus. Mr. Griffin scowled. It will only become a problem if Kimberly discovers that's my AKA. I have not gone by the name since my promotion from head of security for the 3rd Branch Office, and Kimberly has never heard me referred by it. He leaned forward, resting on his elbows. To be on the safe side, make sure all records relating to Janus are expunged and retrieve that disc. I already have the disc in my possession, Orthos said, as he laid the jewel case on the desk. Mr. Griffin noticed the dried blood and panicked. Is that Kimberly's? Your daughter is bruised but unharmed, so do not worry. Lieutenant Creed's men were able to extract them from the factory. Well done. Did my daughter or the stray have anything else in their possession? No, sir. See to the Janus records. Right away, sir, Orthos said, and then added, You do understand I cannot erase any of the records at the 2nd and main branch office. Yes, I understand. Let's hope Kimberly doesn't stumble across any more information pertaining to her mother. He paused and added, That is all. Mr. Griffin faced the picture of his wife after Orthos left. He didn't understand why she had to go against Sphinx. She also made him choose between her and his work. Mr. Griffin picked up the picture frame and gently stroked Teresa's face. He hoped his daughter didn't force him to make the same decision. Outside in the hall, Orthos passed the secretary and entered the elevator, and once the doors closed, he reached into his coat pocket and removed the data crystal he'd taken from Kat. He hated lying to the chairman, but he did have his own promotion to think about, and he couldn't gain anything if he gave away his resources. Orthos examined the 2-inch white obelisk. Double space. Hellenistic Sector, Residential Vicinage, Acephalus Hospital. Maxwell stood by a large window, examining the new day enveloped by night. The bald tech had a bandage on his right elbow and one on his chin. The nurses at Acephalus Hospital treated him and his partner very well. Peter sat in a chair beside Argus's bed as the operative rested. Peter's wrist was bandaged. Dr. Brian Chiron walked in and reviewed Argus's chart. You had a run-in with those... What do you call them? Biomechas, Peters spoke up. Brian put the chart back. You guys are lucky to be alive. He walked over to Argus and checked his vitals. Those machines have killed a lot of people. Don't we know it? Maxwell made his way to the bed. How's he doing? Fine, considering they beat him up pretty badly. There was a slight infection from the bullet. It had been in his leg for a long time. I removed it with no problems, and the meds are taking care of the rest. He should be fine. Brian started out. I'll check on him again in about a half hour. He left. Maxwell picked up a remote and turned on the TV. The MBS News was on, and Linda Harvey was in the middle of a story. At this time, it is still unclear which corporation was behind the biomecha attacks that happened earlier this week. NCPF have confirmed that all these robotic men have been eliminated and that they are no longer a threat to Noir's citizens. She turned to a new camera. In other news, an upset in the corporate senate. The quarter-cent sales race tax was not voted through. Analysts are. I hate the news, Maxwell muttered and turned it off. Peters questioned his partner. What do we do now? What do you mean? Maxwell asked. What are we going to do now that the factory is gone? That is easy, a man answered. Both techs turned. The man wore a black suit and stood in the doorway. You're going to come work for us. 5 SCMs rushed in, and a doctor and a nurse came in with them. The doctor and nurse moved to Argus's bed and unhooked him from the machines. What are you doing? Maxwell asked. The council wishes for Argus to return home, the man in the black suit answered. Don't worry. The Sanctum has the best medical facility in Noir. He's in excellent hands. But we were talking about the two of you. The man removed 2 envelopes and then handed one to Maxwell and one to Peters. Here are the council's offers for you two to come work for them. We can't, Maxwell spoke up. We signed a non-disclosure. Yes, we know about that agreement. If you will look over the papers in the envelopes, you will discover a document stating we have acquired all the information and technology from the factory and some of the surviving employees. We would like you two to come work for us. You can have your lawyers look over the contracts before you agree. Maxwell, they're offering twice what we were making. Yeah, I see. What do you think? Peters asked. If the lawyers clear it, I say we take the man's offer. I'm with you, Peters replied. Looks like we won't be out of work. Chapter 50. Miss Melissa Oden. 10:34 a.m. Nile Sector, Commerce Vicarage. A gold limo drove down the busy brownstone street in front of the Bees Hotel, and a corporate emblem of a golden triangle marked the door's front hood. The vehicle came to a halt. The chauffeur got out and walked to the back. The driver put one hand behind his back and opened the door. A thin man with a shaven head stepped to the sidewalk. He wore a light blue business suit with white stripes, and the suit resembled a pharaoh's headdress. The man dreaded the job that lay before him. He stood tall, almost 7 foot, and wore kohl, a black eyeliner. He also had a small ponytail on the right side of his shaven head. Find some place to park, the man told the driver. I will call you when I'm done. The chauffeur nodded. Yes, Mr. Sorbet. The driver went back to the vehicle and soon pulled away. Mr. Sorbet made his way to the stoop and rang a doorbell of a 2-story brownstone, and a security camera mounted on the wall above him turned to get a better view. A man spoke through an intercom. Can I help you? I am Mr. Sorbet. I am from the ISIS Corporation. I am here to see Miss Melissa Oden. Can I see some ID? Of course. Mr. Sherbet removed a wallet and lifted the photo ID to the camera. A device on the camera scanned the identification barcode and transmitted the information to an HHC the man inside held. Thank you, the man said. Please wait one moment. A few minutes earlier, inside the two-story house, Melissa stared at a notebook, looking over formula equations. She wore a light gray dress with a flower pattern. She shook her head. Everything she was going through was because of these formulas. About 6 days ago, Melissa converted the empty room into a home lab. Several beakers on a large table had a yellowish substance in them, and a few racks of test tubes set beside a microscope. Someone knocked, and she looked up. Yes? A man opened the door. Daniels, what is it? Melissa asked the bodyguard. There is a Mr. Sherbet from the ISIS Corporation at the door. Should I let him in? He's from the ISIS Corporation? I wasn't expecting anyone today. Let him in and bring him here. The bodyguard left and soon returned with the man from the corporation. Melissa stood, walked over to the man, and shook his hand as she said, Hello, Mr. Sherbet. The man bowed his head in greeting. Miss Oden? She turned to the bodyguard. Thank you, Daniels. Please go check on the children. Yes, Miss Oden. The bodyguard exited. Melissa motioned to a chair. Please have a seat. She sat in another chair. Is there any word on my case? Will my employer, the Valhalla Corporation, take me to court? Valhalla is taking you to court over your contract with them. Your lawyers with ISIS were able to excuse you from appearing. The judge agreed Valhalla might decide to hire a life closer to kill you before the matter's settled in court. It's a good thing we placed you and the children in the safe house. 2 more bodyguards will be showing up shortly. He crossed his legs. Is there anything you need? No, this house has everything we need. She stood. Would you like some coffee? Actually, Miss Oden. He also stood. There's another matter I must tell you. It's the reason I came in person. Oh, what is it? He motioned to her chair. Maybe you should sit back down. Why would I? She started to ask and then question. What has happened? It's about your brother, Norman. Mr. Sherbet wasn't sure how to tell her and decided to come right out with it. He's dead. She fell back, caught herself on the table, and knocked over the rack of test tubes. The yellowish substance spilled. A few of the glass containers fell to the tile floor and broke, shattering into pieces. Mr. Sherbet quickly moved to her and helped her to the chair, and after a few moments of shock, Melissa put a hand to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. How did it happen? Was it a closer? Yes. She gasped. Daniels burst in with his gun drawn. Miss Oden, are you all right? Yes, I'm fine. Please, put your gun away. The bodyguard still looked a little worried, so Melissa added, Really, everything's fine. Mr. Sherbet turned to the bodyguard. Miss Oden received some unsettling news about her brother. I see. Daniels didn't know what to say and holstered his weapon. I'll be in the living room if you need anything, Miss Oden. Melissa sniffed. Thank you, Daniels. The bodyguard left. Miss Oden turned to Mr. Sherbet. Tell me about this closer. Does this have anything to do with my court case? No, we believe it has nothing to do with your current problems with Valhalla. The closer was an illegal one, hired by a man named Topa. Topa works for Valhalla, but went out on his own to hire the illicit closer. He handed her a handkerchief. Melissa wiped her eyes, blew her nose, and then asked, Has Topa been arrested? Mr. Sherbet shook his head. No, an assassin named the Phoenix closed him. Do you know why Topa wanted my brother killed? Your brother Norman, a.k.a. Preacher, disrupted sales of Sunnysnaps on Wayfaring Lane, and that's why Topa had him killed. Valhalla Corporation had him testing the drug there. Melissa's view. It's because of the Sunnysnaps. No, it can't be. Not the drug I created. I look at my notebook, then to the yellowish substance, and say, "If that is all, Mr. Sorbet, I could use some time to myself." "Of course." He heads to the door. I'll show myself out. After he leaves, I lay my head on the table. It's my fault. It's all my fault that my brother is dead. I weep as I say, "Forgive me, Norman. I'll never forgive myself." Chapter 51. Returning Home. 12:18 p.m. Hellenistic Sector, Residential Vicinage. Tainted rain poured on West 1000 Avenue, covering the street with oily black water, and the six-wheeled automated street sanitizers paused from their work and shut down everything but their parking lights. They allowed Noir's drainage system to take care of the rain. The sanitizers' work would come again when the storm passed. Frustrated over the loss of the disc and the data crystal, Kim and Kat sat in the back of the limo that had picked them up from the Main One hospital. Mr. Griffin sent the driver to take the women back to the Nexus apartments. The limo passed several of the dormant street cleaners as the vehicle traveled through the residential vicinage. Several apartments and restaurants lined West 1000 Avenue. Many of the people that walked the dark sidewalks, lit by street lamps, had umbrellas and or were dressed in raincoats, and even a few wore one-eye masks. Some people rushed to have lunch before their break hour ended, and many more vehicles roared up and down the road, spraying the tainted rain on the sidewalks. Catherine's view. We're both in the limo as I stare at my shoulder. I should have told Kimberly why we were at the hospital, but I never found the right moment. I roll my eyes, remembering back. I never had a chance with Kimberly yelling so much, and she was mostly yelling at me like it was my fault they took the disc from her. I wonder if I should tell her now. Maybe if I want to get yelled at again. "Hades!" Kimberly bellows for the 10th time. I should have known better, for Ares' sakes. I can't believe I stayed in bed while they robbed us. She folds her arms. Who is behind this? How did they know I had the disc or that you had the crystal? I don't reply. I have no answers. I watch the city go by, deciding I'll wait a little longer. Kimberly's too mad, and what I have to tell her will be hard enough without staring into her angry gaze. She may look at me differently once I've told her the unsettling news, and I don't know if I can take that. I finally have someone who's on my side. Kimberly's view. I'll track them down, I vow as I sit next to that woman, and when I find them, I squeeze my knapsack that's on my lap. They'll wish. I think we need some tea, that woman interrupts, still staring out the window. It will calm us and clear our minds. She glances at her shoulder. A lot has happened today, and we have a lot to think about and maybe even talk about. Tea? I turn to her as she faces me, and I ask, is tea your answer to everything? No, it's just... I'm beaten for the moment, so I let out a long breath and say, it's just that we can't do anything else right now, so why not? Fine, we'll have some tea. The limo pulls into Nexus Apartments' parking garage and drops us off, and after some time, the two of us sip on hot lemon zinger in silence as we sit in the living room on the couch. I think over everything that's happened to us, and I finally break the quiet and say, please tell me you downloaded the information from the data crystal to the music box. Yes, I think so. She retrieves it from her backpack, places the music box in her palm, and commands, Teresa? The hologram materializes and examines the room. Whenever I see her image, I'm so happy and yet so heartbroken at the same time. Where are we? I don't recognize this place. It's my apartment, I answer. It is very nice. I take it the unmen are no longer hunting the two of you? We're safe, that woman answers as she places the music box on the coffee table. What information did the data crystal contain? The files were locked, the hologram replies. I am working on breaking the encryption, and it may take me some time, she adds. There was one file entitled The Gorgons with no encryption. It only contains an address. I retrieve my laptop from the master bedroom and log into the internet. I type the address in a map locator search box, and within seconds, the results pop up. This place is in the Hellenistic sector. I study the cross streets. I haven't been in this part of the sector. We'll have to check it out. Catherine's view. I'm so exhausted, so I plead, tomorrow. I want to take some time and play Unfinished Melody and regain more of my strength. I can function at this point, but I'm a little on edge. I tell Kimberly, it'll still be there tomorrow. She says, I want to go now. There are probably clues there, but I do have to think about my new partner. If you collapse, I'll have to lug your body around. Kimberly closes her laptop and adds, we better both rest. I imagine your shoulder is killing you after all the stress you put it through. My shoulder? I put a hand to it as butterflies flutter all around my stomach and keep bumping into the walls, giving me a bellyache. Actually, Kimberly's thoughts seem to be elsewhere as she interrupts me. Tomorrow, then. She stands and grabs her laptop. I'll be in my room. I watch her leave as the number of butterflies in my stomach double. Kimberly's view. I go into the master bedroom, lock the door, sit at my desk, open my email on the laptop and type, Voice, Phoenix here. I wait and receive an instant message from the regulator of the Assassin's League. Has your problem been taken care of? I glance at the door, think of that woman and type, yes, the problem has been taken care of. Are you sure? Voice types back. I would hate for this to come back to you if the problem hasn't been taken care of. Does Voice know? No. Voice doesn't know who I am, so Voice can't have me under surveillance. Why does Voice doubt my answer? I've never lied in the past. I type, the problem is gone, like I said. Do you doubt my word? No, of course not. I only wanted to make sure for my own peace of mind. Since the closing in Moscow, well, this latest event concerned me, that is all. I stare at the screen, wonder how to respond and type, I contacted you to inform you that I'm taking a hiatus as you and my father suggested. I press the send button and wait. A few minutes pass and an instant message beeps on the screen. I have an assignment I was hoping you would do for me. It's local. It is a rooftop closing. Would you mind taking one more assignment before starting your break? It won't take more than a day or two. I'll owe you one. I stare at the screen. I can't say no to Voice, so I reply, send me the file and I'll take care of it for you. I will have the file sent to you tomorrow. Enjoy the repos. Voice signing off. Great. Just great. I have no idea what I'll do with that woman while I'm on closing. I can't say, hey, I'm going to kill someone. You want to come along? It could be fun. I stretch my arms. I'll have to think of something. The laptop goes to the screensaver of the flaming phoenix as I stand and leave. I walk through the hallway and shout, I'm hungry. Want to order pizza? I turn the corner and find the apartment empty. Now where did she go? Chapter 52, Gin El, Iron Kiskathi, 12:23 p.m. Hellenistic sector, trade vicinage. Outside the factory. Lieutenant Creed flipped down his night vision goggles and scanned the large field of grassy weeds inside the perimeter. All was quiet in the green hue, except for a breeze sweeping across the tall blades. He nodded to his men, and they retreated from the factory's main gate, and in the distance they heard engines rumble to life. The SCMs knew this time would come, and they tensed. He touched his headset. Creed here, reporting in. He looked at the road leading to the factory, and then to an HHC he held, and the screen showed many blips coming their way. Alpha and the T3s are moving out. We have backed away from the gate as ordered. Are you sure you don't want us to engage? Creed listened. Yes. Understood. We won't hinder the T3's retreat from the factory. He examined the long line of cars and trucks making their way to the gate, and he noticed a few of the vehicles showed scorch marks and a couple hobbled on a flat tire or two. We'll secure the factory once they leave. Creed and his men glared at the T3s as they left. They lost a lot of good soldiers to them. One day, you will pay, Creed vowed, gripping his weapon, and I'll be there. I'll be there to witness your end. Double space. Deep inside the factory, the rogue realized it hadn't run into one single T3 as it made its way back to Research Lab 5. Alpha must have fled with his minions. The rogue passed the long-forgotten room of science equipment and entered the chamber filled with statues, and with the accent lights still down because of Pandora's EFP, the rogue activated its night vision. The rogue's view. What about Pandora? Is she dead or did she escape? I hold my wounded shoulder. Why did she not destroy me? I have to know. I make a face as if in agony, and then I look at the life-size statues. I try to figure out why I came back here. I know it is not to look for Pandora. She will not return here. All the gens point to a wall in the back of the room, and I make my way to it and stare at the tile surface. I scan the area, probe the wall with infrared, and find nothing out of the ordinary temperature-wise. I remove my ORATT from my suit pocket, put them on, and switch to through-wall radar on my polarized spectacles. There is a hall on the other side. I feel along the wall with my good hand till I find a marble tile slightly sticking out, and press it, and the wall slides up, rumbling as the ceiling swallows it. Once the dust settles, I start down the long descending hall. With every step I take, a light comes on, lighting the way. After about 15 minutes, the hall ends at a room, and I pause at the doorway as several lights blink on inside, and light up the center where 2 black stones sit on a raised platform. I make my way to the 4-foot cube stones with white writing. I come to this hidden room driven by some unknown force, so I need to find out what it is important about the 2 stones. I smooth my palm over the right one's engraved letters. Will they tell me why Pandora didn't destroy me? I read the one. Though the clouds darken the sun and the rain becomes tainted, always know there will be a love that will not die. Though hope seems a distant memory and human machines walk the land, know no one can destroy a love that will not die. The one constant, the one unchanging, the one love. Put your faith in the love that will not die. This is intriguing. This is what Pandora was reciting after I choked her into unconsciousness. I examine the stones, and it looks like both of the pieces are part of a larger one, but do both of them belong to the same stone? I walk around them, decide I will investigate that matter later, and read the other block. The land has darkened, hope has fled, and greed rules. Finish it. Call forth the rushlight. Open the pathway between. Bring an end to false gods. Bring an end to lies. So usher in the rushlight, creature of the void, and destroyer of. The rest of the stone has been destroyed, and the writing is missing. Gin el Iron Kiskathi, Are these about Pandora? Is she the rushlight? And what is she the destroyer of? I put my hand on the stone. Why did I come here? If my purpose is to destroy Pandora, why did I come to this place? The stones tell me of no way to destroy her, unless I am not supposed to destroy her. What is it she said once? I replay the event in my computer's eye. Pandora said she does not want me dead. She just wants me to stop hunting her. She told me maybe my creators are afraid of me, not because I have feelings, but because I have the potential to disobey my programming. I pull from the memory. Is that it? Can I disobey my programming? Have I evolved to the next level? I consider it for a moment. Pandora did not want me dead. She said as much, so why do I need to hunt her? I look at the stones and decide I have to know more about the rushlight in these blocks. I have to find the answers to my questions, and now that I have a new purpose, I will stop hunting her. I will see if I have more of a purpose than killing, and I will discover the secrets of Pandora. Chapter 53. More Puzzles. 12:34 p.m. Hellenistic Sector, Residential Vicinage. Up on the Nexus Apartments rooftop. Catherine's view. I feel bad because I've kept a secret from Kimberly. It's a small one, but it's still a secret. I need to be open with my new partner, and how can I do that if I keep things from her? Even if I'm afraid to tell her, I still should. The tainted rain ended a short time before I came up to the roof. I grip the railing, glance at my shoulder, and let my thoughts drift away as I dread the task before me. I stare down at the road, watching the street sanitizers at work. Several of the robotic cleaners rumble across the avenue, and for a few minutes they distract me from my fears. I start to count them. In Wayfaring Lane, I thought might have been 4 or 5, but here, I count more than a dozen just in this area. A few more minutes pass, and I lean back as I hold onto the railing and let freedom blow over me. I can't remember a time when I didn't have to worry about the unmen finding me. I'm safe to worry about other things. So I study the star in my palm. More and more mysteries pop up with no answers like this one. I rub my fingers over the red scar, and the burn no longer hurts. The mark opened the door to the gallery with some sort of micro cipher imprinted on the star, and that same star is on the music box. I place my hand back to the railing and lean on the metal. I asked the hologram if she knew what they were, but she didn't know. I stare at the sky, feeling as gloomy as it looks. Then the door to the rooftop opens, and Kimberly steps out. "So this is where you went," Kimberly states as she walks over to me. "What are you doing up here?" She looks down at my feet. "At least you remembered shoes." "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." I pause, not sure how to explain, then turn my attention back down to the street. Kimberly's view. "Well, what is it?" I ask, glancing at her. Is that woman thinking about what the rogue said? Is she wondering if she's organic mecha? I am. And I've been wondering if she knew this fact all along. Could the guild or the council that woman keeps mentioning be testing me for some reason? I also stare down at the street. What if that woman is organic mecha? What if she found me for some other reason than what she claims? Whatever I do, I can't let that woman know that I'm thinking this way. I ask, "It's not that thing that Rogue told you, is it?" "I wouldn't worry. There's no way you're one of those organic mechas." I lightly smack her on the left arm and laugh to give her a sense that it doesn't bother me. I want her to think that I don't believe the possible truth. You're too weird to be something programmed. Catherine's view. Thanks, I think, but it's not that, I tell her as I grip my shoulder, wondering what Kimberly will think of me once she does find out. I start, take a deep breath to continue, but then I chicken out and walk away from the ledge. Our partnership is so fragile. My secret might just shatter it, and a fear of abandonment sweeps over me, chilling me with an arctic blast of doubt and cowardice. A realization comes to me. Have I already come to rely on Kimberly? I barely know her, and yet I feel as though I do. I'm so afraid of what she'll think of me that I decide against revealing my secret. I don't know if I can handle her looking at me any different because something's not right with me. I give in to my anxieties and tell her, never mind. Don't do that, she snaps. Don't start something and not finish it. She moves closer to me, like we've been friends forever, and she's deeply concerned for me. Tell me what it is. Remember, we're partners, and we're supposed to trust each other. I'm not sure what to do now. I want to forget about it, but Kimberly already knows something's wrong. I want to trust someone, again like I did with Preacher. I'm just afraid I'll be betrayed, like I have been by others. I'm afraid Kimberly will betray me again, like she did when she handed me over to the rogue. I'm not sure how to say it, I admit, as those fears keep me from coming out and telling her the truth. I direct our conversation elsewhere by saying, the past year I've learned that I'm the Pandora Project. My heart fills with dread, knowing what my experiment name means. You told me Pandora was the one who doomed the world. Kimberly answers, yes, I told you that Pandora let all good escape from existence. She had released it from a box. Is that my destiny? I ask her. I'm afraid I was created, programmed, or conditioned to destroy. Kimberly's view. That woman is so pathetic. I came all the way up here, and all she's worried about is the name the council gave her. I feel like pulling out my gun and shooting her. Good thing I didn't bring it with me. This thing about her name is bothering her, act or not, and I decide I need to continue my own part as the supportive partner. I still need her for a while, and I can't have her moping around. You've got to be kidding. This is what you're worried about? I start out. Come on, there are more things to fear than... Are there? She interrupts me. Then why call me Pandora, if not to mean doom? I stand there gazing at her, not knowing what to say. If this is an act, she's good. But what if it's not? What if that woman truly believes she's to doom the world? I scowl. I can't have her thinking that way. She'll be no use to me. I say, there's one thing I didn't tell you. There's more to the story. You see, Pandora managed to keep hope in the box. She managed to keep hope in the world. Hope? Yes, hope, I answer. And then I tell her to give that woman a false sense of possibility. Maybe your destiny isn't to bring doom, but hope. Now, I move for the door. If we're done up here, let's go inside and order a pizza. I start in. I'm starved. Catherine's view. Kimberly? I call after her, still afraid of exposing my secret. She turns around and states, like I said, what could be so... I blurt out, my wound. It's gone. There's no trace that I was ever shot. What? That's impossible, Kimberly exclaims as she walks back over to me, and then she demands, show me. I unzip my jacket, pull the collar of my t-shirt to the side, and show her my unbandaged shoulder. I tense, not knowing how she'll react. Please don't think I'm a freak. Please don't end our partnership and kick me out of the apartment. She examines my shoulder as she says, Hades, it is gone. That's impossible. When did it happen? I don't know, I reply, as I can't tell what she's thinking. Does she see me as a freak? Is she mentally recoiling from me in disgust? I add, it was like this when I woke in Main 1 Hospital. Kimberly's view. This is what you're worried about? I chuckle. Come on. I put my hand on her shoulder, reassuring her. With all the technology that corporations have, this isn't out of the ordinary, so don't worry. I force a smile. Come on, let's go order that pizza. That woman believes I'm not repulsed by her freakishness, and her face brightens as she questions me. Can we get a Coke to go with it? Coke? I've never heard of it, but I'll ask, and if they don't have it, we'll get a Krite. She runs ahead of me like some child at an amusement park who can't wait to get on a ride. I follow that strange woman back in, and we go to the elevator. I press button 31, and we make our way down. I stand behind her and stare at her back, wondering what kind of monstrosity lurks inside that woman. I need to be more cautious of her than before, and I need to reconsider this partnership. Robot or mutant, I can't trust her. Later, we enter apartment H, and I head to my room as she sits on the couch and turns on the news. I go and sit on my bed and open the drawer of my nightstand, and inside lies the marked bullet. For now, I need to keep that woman around. Whether organic mecha or wayward soul, she could still be of some use to me. I chuckle to myself again. If I want to return to work, I'll have to get rid of her. I remove the 9mm round and decide I'll keep the bullet with me from now on. I place Pale Horse in the small zipper compartment of my zipped-up hoodie. That woman did see my face, and I can't let anyone live who knows I'm the Phoenix. In the living room. Catherine's view. Kimberly seems to have accepted me as I am, but what about what the rogue said to me? I clutch a pillow, paying no attention to the TV. Am I organic mecha? Am I some sort of freak? I dig my nails into the pillow. If I am, what if there's no pass for me to find? What then? I glance at the hall. What about my partnership with Kimberly? Will I be able to depend on her, or will she kill me when she no longer needs me? I bury my face in the pillow. What does the future hold for me? Kimberly's view. I enter the kitchen and glance at the small round table. 9 days ago, I sat there, sulking over my pathetic life. I wished that I wasn't alone, that I had more in this life, and that there would be someone there for me. Now I have more to look forward to, like taking my revenge. I walk over to the cupboard and grab a glass. As for my wish, I look at that woman sitting on the couch. I need to be more careful about what I ask for. She turns to me with a serious expression on her face, and when she sees the glass, her face brightens as she questions, "Fixing more tea?" I'm amused by her simple-mindedness. She is addicted to tea, and for some reason, I want to give her at least a little hospitality before I'm done with her. So I answer, "Sure, we can have more tea. Put the kettle on and set the table. Make yourself useful." I place the glass back in the cupboard and grab 2 teacups. The pizza won't be here for about 45 minutes. That woman turns the TV off and comes into the kitchen. Some time later. Lifting her cup, that woman toasts, "Here's to our partnership. May it be successful." I clink my cup to hers. I'll drink to that. To a successful future, wherever it takes us. Yes. May I be successful in finding who murdered my mom. Chapter 54. The Star Binds Them. 10:40 p.m. The Chamber. Mr. Takuma pulled up new biodata on his laptop. The Cerberus project has gone above our expectations. This experiment has surpassed the old project. I do not know about that, Mr. Mortis stated. We were unable to activate Pandora's potential. Mr. Morta uttered, As I thought, one of us has taken a liking to the wayward project. Mr. Morta said, It is not like that. What is it like? Mr. Takuma asked. I believe Pandora is the superior design. We are the ones who failed for not providing a sufficient catalyst. We should have done more. Appalled by his reply, Miss Nona questioned, Our fault? Yes, Mr. Morta answered. Maybe we should have told Pandora about its past, and then Pandora would not have been so driven to search for missing pieces. A male supervisor handed Miss Nona a report. There seems to be a problem with our acquisition of the factory's assets. There is one research outpost in Antarctica, Vulcan Station, that the T3s did not attack. If the Sphinx Corporation main office finds out part of the factory has survived, they will have to turn over everything we acquired from the factory to Vulcan Station. Mr. Mortis stated, The situation could be a test for Cerberus. The new project can close the outpost for us, and we can see how Cerberus reacts with the human element. A fine idea, Miss Nona said as she curled up her cherry-red lips in a grin. I agree, Mr. Takuma replied. It is settled then, Mr. Mortis said. We will send Cerberus to Antarctica. 7:01 p.m. No setting sun declared the approach of night, and all was black. Darkness lingered, but a glimmer of hope existed. Zack turned his van down an alley besides Dad's Donuts, activated a garage door, and pulled into the Maydag auto garage, and within, the place was quiet. All the mechanics had gone home for the day. Zack parked, went to the second storage room, unlocked the door with a key, and went in. Broken equipment and tools, along with used oil and other discards, filled the cobweb shelves. The place smelled of dust and gas. Zack went to the back wall, looked up at an unlit light, half unscrewed the bulb from the socket, and pulled the chain. The back wall flipped around 180 degrees, and on the other side, Zack walked along a gray stone passage to a metal door with no knob. Beside the door were a camera and an intercom. Identify yourself, a man's voice commanded. Zack looked up into the lens. Delivery man. He waited a few seconds and added, RG wanted to see me. The door slid open, and Zack proceeded halfway down a white-tiled hall to a glass-enclosed security desk, and there, 3 men and a woman monitored security screens. All 4 were armed, and one of the men waved him up to a biodetector. Zack went and stood in the device as the man scanned him for life signs. Oh, what's this? The security officer uttered. Do I detect a biomecha? Zack started to answer. I'm not. The security officer interrupted. Nope, all human. Delivery man isn't an unmanned today. You may proceed. Zack mockingly laughed at this snide remark and continued down the hall. The passage ended at a door, and he opened it and entered a dark room. Its center was lit by one single light, and he went and stood in it. Zack waited a few minutes in silence. A mechanical altered voice of RG spoke over an intercom. Delivery man, were you able to retrieve the scans I requested? Yes. Zack cleared his throat. The 2 conveniently ordered a pizza, and I was able to intercept the delivery boy and exchange the pizza box with one of my own. Miss Griffin took the box from the delivery boy, and the hidden scanner picked up her star cipher. Yes, I know of that one. What of the other? He answered, There was none on her left hand, but there is a star cipher on Catherine's left. That's most interesting. What does it mean to have 2 bear the stars instead of 1? RG paused. They don't know it yet, but the star binds them to a destiny. One I will make sure they fulfill. What kind of destiny? Zack asked. One I'll tell you in due time. Good work. Continue to monitor the 2. I'm most interested in how they will work together and what they will accomplish. There's so much for them to do." RG paused and asked, "Did you discover anything else?" "Yes. Before they threw the box away, I was able to overhear some of their conversation. Kimberly's looking for who killed her mom." RG's view. "This is most interesting. Did someone tell her, or did Kimberly remember the fiery incident on her own?" I ask, "Anything else?" "One other thing. Catherine has lost her memory. She doesn't remember anything past a year ago." "I was afraid of that," I state in order. "Set up a surveillance of the residence. I must know more." Zach's view. "Understood. I'll get right on it." I leave as I consider how the stars might bind the two to a destiny. Is this a destiny that will help Noir and destroy the dry clouds? Or is there something RG is hiding from me? Chapter 55. Arrival at Vulcan Station, 9:12 p.m. At the top of the world. The Vulcan Station resided near the South Geometric Pole at the center of the East Antarctic ice sheet, and it was also located 5 miles away from where the dry clouds curtain ended south. A helicopter flew over the icy land of white and blue, racing a coming snowstorm. A Council SCM pilot talked to his 3 passengers on their headsets. "ETA 5 minutes, and once we land, make sure to take everything with you. I'll be lifting off once you're clear the landing pad and won't be back till this storm clears. It could take me a few more days to return for you. You'll have to stay longer than what you planned." He glanced at the younger of the 2 men. "Make sure you accomplish your task by then." The passengers nodded their understanding and started on their gear. Any part of their body exposed to the frigid elements could freeze. They pulled on their full head and neck cold-weather masks made of a soft nylon-coated neoprene, and then the 3 put on gloves, checked their boot buckles, and zipped up their brown fur-lined hooded white parkas. The helicopter landed, and the 2 men and a woman disembarked with bags of equipment and clothes and headed toward the facility. A polar wind hit them the moment they stepped off the aircraft, chilling them to the bone, and they hurried toward the station. Once they cleared the pad, the helicopter lifted off and threw snow on them. The 3 stopped at the entrance. The younger man urged, "Hurry, Dr. Seeker, before we freeze out here." "I'm going as fast as I can." The older man placed his right glove hand on a machine. A thermal scanner read his palm through the material, and the device confirmed his identity. "There, now we can go in." The facility's metal door unlocked, slid up, and then 2 SCMs rushed out. They wore dark blue parkas with white fur-lined hoods. They aimed their black FAMAS at the 3. The 2 men and the woman raised their hands as the head of the Vulcan Station followed behind the corporate military men. He wore a white parka. "Dr. John Gillett?" the other man questioned, wondering why they were being treated this way. "Yes." The head of the facility offered his gloved hand and shook the older man's. "And you must be Dr. Robert Seeker." John motioned for the SCMs to proceed. "Scan them and make sure they are human, and then search them and their things." "What's the meaning of this?" Robert demanded as he and his companions lowered their hands. John smiled, trying to reassure him. "Don't worry, Dr. Seeker. This is only a precaution. Of what we know, we are the only factory facility still in operation." The wind whipped the brown fur of his hood. "We have to remain operational till the Sphinx Corporation main branch office can send us in some support. And I'm sorry to say, but the T3s are very clever." An SCM looked around skittishly. One of those flipped-out machines already tried to enter the station 2 days ago. He eyed the younger of the two men. Now isn't a good day for taking in new recruits. Lieutenant Bentley, John snapped, I believe we have frightened our guest quite enough. You might run the station, Dr. Gillard, but security is my responsibility. Bentley walked over to the younger of the two men. Who is this, Dr. Seeker? My assistant, Charles Smith. I vouch for him. He's worked with me for years. Bentley snarled at the assistant. I don't trust him, so he better be on his best behavior. What's this? The other SCM questioned the woman. A cigar box. She opened the 10-inch by 10-inch container. Cubans. One of my vices. The SCM nodded, seeing the cigars. All clear. Good. Let's get out of this Arctic air. John waved for the 3 arrivals to follow him in. Dr. Seeker, you were supposed to be here days ago. Yes, I'm sorry. Robert paused to let the woman walk in before him. There was a holdup getting a pilot and a helicopter to fly us down here. The door slid shut once everyone was in, and Bentley locked the door and had the other SCM guard the entrance. Well, we're glad to have you here. I hope our work can help research Project Clean Air. John pushed down his hood, removed his mask, and unzipped his parka. He took off the coat, revealing he wore several layers of clothing. You should find our ice core samples helpful in your research. Everyone else removed their cold weather mask. It's what I'm hoping for. Robert unzipped his coat. Since the cores contain climate records for almost 1 million years, I'm confident they will shed some light on the planet's dry cloud problem. He removed his gloves. One thing we haven't been able to explain is why those born in the dark half and those that live there several years can breathe the polluted air without some side effects. There are particles of petroleum and other harmful elements in the air. So why aren't traces of them found in the blood or lungs of the dark half's residents? Robert scratched his head. One of many puzzles, like the biggest one of all. What caused the dry clouds? They appeared overnight. I guess we won't solve the mystery so quickly. Robert glanced around. Where do we start? Do you wish to rest or at least freshen up first? John asked. No. Robert rubbed his hands together to warm them. I would prefer to get to work. Right then. John motioned to the lieutenant. I'll have Bentley take your things to your rooms, and we can begin. Robert nodded and said, Stephanie? The woman stepped forward. Yes, Dr. Seeker? Go help the lieutenant. She grabbed one of their suitcases and followed Bentley, and once they were some distance down a hall, she asked, Do you have much wildlife here? I didn't see a thing the helicopter ride over. Bentley looked annoyed over his bellboy job. Only the occasional lost sakuka. It's a brown bird. He glanced at her. Would there be an extra Cuban in that box of yours? We'll see. Maybe one. They turned a corner. This way, Dr. Seeker and Mr. Smith. John walked down a hall, opposite the one the lieutenant went down. The main lab is this way. Before the men followed, a loud noise boomed from the entrance, and the SCM guarding it turned, taking a few steps back as the large door shook. Something hit the entrance again, and the metal door vibrated, toppling ice to the floor. The third, fourth, and fifth hits smashed the side of the door, and the SCM leaped back. 5 T3s stood outside, covered with snow and ice, and they held a 6-foot battering ram, dropped it, and started through the opening. The SCM shot, and the T3s evaded his fire. He started to radio for help, but a T3 shot him in the head. Run! John shouted. The T3s have penetrated Vulcan Station. Chapter 56. The Takeover of Vulcan Station. 5 T3s smashed their way into the facility, and their searing scarlet dot light glowed in the ice dust. Bentley and Stephanie ran back down the hall, joining the 3 men. "Unmen have broken in," Bentley radioed. "Security to the entrance." He opened fire. "Doctors, run!" The 3 men and the woman rushed further into the station, and soon 10 SEMs ran in past them and opened fire on the T3s. They managed to disable 1 of them, but lost 5 of their own, and the remaining 4 T3s marched forward. "Fall back," Bentley ordered, but before he or his men could react, a metal sphere the size of a golf ball rolled past him toward the T3s. The sphere halted, glowed, and shrilled. Bentley turned. "A high-impact grenade! Get down!" The blast knocked the SEMs to the ground and destroyed the T3s. Bentley peered up as the snow and ice settled. His body felt on fire, and he wasn't sure what had happened or who threw the grenade. Stephanie walked past the pile of cigars. She dropped to the floor. She had removed the Cubans to pull out the hidden explosive. Stephanie moved to Bentley's side, holding the empty cigar box in one hand and lit a cigar in the other. She placed the box on the ground, put the cigar in her mouth, and picked up an assault rifle from one of the dead men. Stephanie made her way to the T3s and put a bullet in each of their foreheads, and then returned to Bentley's side. Blood trickled from his mouth as he started to question. "Why did you—" "Shh." She knelt beside him. "Quiet. The unmen are dead. Everything will be all right now." "Why did you throw the grenade so close to us?" Bentley looked at the other SCMs. "You should have waited till we were clear. You've killed them." She slightly smacked him on the cheek twice. "I didn't want to waste the explosive only on the unmen. You know the saying, why drop 1 egg when you can drop 2? "I don't understand," he said. "Maybe you'll understand this." Stephanie removed the cigar from her mouth and placed the Cuban in Bentley's. "One for the road." She stood and shot him in the heart, then made her way to the remaining men. "Oh my Zeus! Stephanie! What have you done?" Robert questioned. "What I was told." She grinned, aimed for Dr. Seeker, and then changed aim and shot Charles between the eyes, and the assistant slumped to the floor, and then blood pooled around his face. "Hades! She's here to destroy the station," John said, backing up against a wall. "I take it you work for the council." "She's here to kill us?" Robert blurted and shook his head. "No, my work." "Yes, I work for the council," Stephanie answered, "and I'm here to secure Vulcan Station. But I'm not here to kill you two." "You aren't going to kill us?" Robert sounded relieved. "No." She motioned with her weapon for them to go into a small lab, and Stephanie closed and locked the door once they entered, and then turned to them. "The council said to leave you two alive, that your work could be valuable to them." She leaned the assault rifle against the wall and walked over to a table, and there she found a laser cutter that was used to slice the ice cores into pieces. She tested it on the table, and the laser burned small holes into the top, but they said nothing about torture. Stephanie made her way to them. "Be reasonable," John said. "If you hurt us, why would we work for the council?" "Fear," she said. "Fear?" Robert questioned. "Yes, fear. Fear that I'll do it again if you do not do as the council wishes." She turned the laser on them, and seconds later the men screamed as she began her fun. Double space. Somewhere in Noir, the chamber. "Cerberus has completed its mission," Miss Nona reported. "With one test, Cerberus has surpassed Pandora." "Yes, the new experiment did not hesitate to kill the SCMs or Charles Smith." Pleased by the outcome, Mr. Takuma smiled. "Cerberus did not disobey orders." "Yes, a fitting first trial," Miss Nona added. "Pandora never disobeyed," Mr. Morta retorted. "We never gave it any orders but one. Stay alive, and that it did." Mr. Takuma smacked his hand on the table. "You must admit it. Pandora is a failure." He calmed himself. "It is time for its termination." Yes, Miss Nona agreed. And what better way than to have Cerberus kill Pandora? The test will prove the superiority of the new project. Mr. Morta said, I believe it is premature to eliminate Pandora. We can still learn, Mr. Takuma interrupted. This time you have been outvoted. The first time this council has not been of one mind, Miss Nona said, and hopefully the last. Pandora's fate is out of my hands, Mr. Morta nodded to an analyst. Give Cerberus its orders. The new experiment is to find Pandora and report in. The male analyst nodded and relayed the order. Mr. Morta realized Pandora's era was coming to an end, and he hoped what little time she had been put to good use. Chapter 57, Prelude to Book 2, From Moscow with Love. 9:45 p.m., Hellenistic Sector, Old Business Vicinage. Nikolai and Natasha walked into Jack's hard-lock pawn. It was one of many dealers on Wayfaring Lane. They removed the Renal mask. The colossal man with a buzz cut wore a black trench coat, and he stood by the front door as his sister proceeded to the owner. Natasha waited till the only other customer left the shop. With her heavy Russian accent, she started, I heard you're the man to see. Natasha raked her hand through her long black hair. What are you looking for? Jack lit a Nick fake cigarette and took a long drag as he looked her up and down. Jewelry? Watches? We're bird hunting, she replied. Bird hunting, you say? Jack raised a gray eyebrow. Yes, a rare bird. Rare? What are... Nikolai moved forward and interrupted the owner. We arrived from Moscow, and voice said you could help us. Puck, why didn't you say that to begin with? Jack waved for the two of them to join him behind the counter. Come with me. I've got some stuff in the back that should be to your liking. He rang a buzzard at a door and waved at the security camera. You guys look professional. You here to hit anyone I know? Natasha and her brother moved behind the counter and stood behind Jack. She answered, All you need to know is that a mistake was made. Nikolai added, And we are here to rectify it. The door unlocked and Jack proceeded in as they followed. 5 rough-looking men stood in the next room. 2 hung out, talking while the other 3 cleaned guns. The room fell silent as all 5 men watched the 2 outsiders enter. Nikolai was impressed by their arsenal as he looked around. We have enough weapons in here to supply a small army. Yeah, Jack puffed on his cigarette. I inherited the place from my cousin Wayne. He was well connected, but couldn't keep his mouth shut. Puckin' loser. His loose lips got him killed. He took the cigarette out of his mouth and flicked the white-pink ash in a styrofoam cup of old coffee. What do you need? Nikolai answered. The guns are on this list. I'm throwing knives, Natasha interrupted her brother. Jack took the list, looking it over. This I can do. He pointed to 2 of his guys. Get what they need. Jack handed the men the list, turned to a computer, and typed an invoice. The 2 men left and returned a few minutes later, and one of the men walked up to Natasha. Which one of these bad boys is for you, babe? The man patted the guns. By the way, the names are on. None of those. She studied the man that was about 6 inches taller than herself. The knives are mine. They are my sweets. Sweets, huh? Ron handed them to her. A fine babe like yourself likes to play with sharp things? You like to play with dangerous things? How about we step out for a little while? I'll show you something dangerous and maybe something a little sweet. Nikolai moved toward the man, and Nikolai stated, "She's not interested." Natasha said nothing, knowing what was coming. She removed her white fur-lined black coat, revealing tight-fitting red leather pants, vest, and boots. Natasha placed the coat on the back of a chair and inserted a set of throwing knives in a sheath around each wrist. "You her boyfriend?" he asked the closer. "No," Nikolai replied. "I am her brother." "Stay out of this, then," Ron said. "It's none of your business." Natasha also felt sorry for the man. If Ron had dropped it, her brother might have only punched him in the mouth. Nikolai controlled his anger. "She is not interested in the likes of you." Ron jabbed his finger into the colossal man's chest. "You're her brother, not her mother. Let the babe decide." Jack hit the print button on the computer for the invoice. "Don't do anything stupid, Ron." "I know what I'm doing." Ron caressed her butt. "What do you say, babe?" The veins in Nikolai's neck bulged with fury, and his eyes went wild like a mad grizzly bear. And with one massive hand, the Russian reached out, grabbed the man by the throat, and choked him. The other men in the room drew their weapons and aimed at the siblings. Ron pulled a Glock 19, and Nikolai grabbed his wrist and squeezed it till Ron released the gun and it hit the floor. "Wait!" Jack cried out to his men and motioned with his hands. "Put your guns down." Sweat beaded his face. Fearing the situation would get out of hand, "You don't know who these two are. If Voice sent them, well, they'll kill you." He swallowed hard. "Puck, they'll kill all of us." His men reluctantly complied as Nikolai continued to choke Ron. Natasha put her coat back on. "You do not touch my sister in an inappropriate way. No one treats my sister that way." The man clawed Nikolai's arm, unable to breathe, and his eyes bugged out. "Please be reasonable," Jack pleaded. "Puck, let him go, and he can apologize." "No." Nikolai squeezed harder, and the veins in his hand bulged. "I warned him, so I offer no mercy." Natasha walked over to her brother and rubbed her hand up and down his back. She moved to Ron, leaned to him, and whispered in his ear, "From Moscow, with love." Natasha nodded to her brother, and Nikolai forcefully turned the man's head toward her. She French kissed Ron as he clawed at her brother's arm. She finished, stepped back, and said, "We will have to write up extra paperwork on your death, but I am pleased, and that will make it worth it." Ron's eyes rolled back, and Nikolai released his corpse, then reached down and picked up the Glock 19. "His weapon is now mine." He tucked the gun into the back waistband of his pants. Natasha looked down at the dead man and smiled. "You had asked me a question. You wanted to know what I say. I say you should have listened to my brother." She turned to Jack. "How much do we owe you for the weapons?" Unable to say anything as he stared at the dead man, Jack handed her the invoice with a shaky hand. She stated, "Boys will have the funds in your account by tonight." Still shocked, Jack nodded. Natasha and her brother headed out with the guns in 2 large duffel bags, and once they were outside, they put their Winnell mask on and checked the streets for police. They placed the duffel bags in the trunk of their black Cadillac. He unzipped one, removed the case, and opened the container. "Finally, I have Tommy." Nikolai smoothed his hand across the machine gun. "And I can be the hood I dreamed of being." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever makes you happy. Now come, and let us be on our way." He put the machine gun back, and within a few minutes they got into the car and took off their masks. Nikolai removed the trophy he took off of Ron and placed the Glock 19 in the glove box. "Let us hurry to our assignment." Natasha glanced out the passenger side window at the darkness surrounding the city. "I grew to hate this place." Her brother pulled the car out into traffic. "Our final task is 4 days away, and once we have killed the Phoenix, we can leave Noir." Voice is as forgiving as you, my brother. Voice must never be crossed. Yes, her brother agreed. We must always complete our assignments with no hesitation and with no remorse. Our hearts must not rule our minds or our actions. In our line of business, it can only bring death. The end. Next, Shades of Gray #2. From Moscow with love. The book will be coming soon, and I will leave a link in the upper right hand corner and one in the description once it goes live. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Also, I welcome any critiques to help me improve future audiobooks. I have several series in fantasy, horror, and science fiction, and I will leave links in the description as those audiobooks also come out. Thank you for listening to this audiobook, and if you are able to sponsor this project, bringing free audiobooks to YouTube, my link into PayPal is in the description, and I thank you in advance for any amount that you are able to give. That's it for now. Until next time.